Good evening and welcome to Poker Night Live. This is clearly the best place to learn poker. Why? Because we reveal all the cards. You can see everything, all the action, all the bets, all the moves, everything. If you're not sure, you can contact us to ask questions about it. Plus, we will be discussing it in the studio. Not fighting, of course, but we will be discussing it in the studio.
Why?
Tonight, I'm with Prince Charles, Mark Banin. I'm James Browning, and here's Prince Charles himself.
Now, I don't like the thing about us not fighting. I don't think it'll be much of a show if we didn't have a little fight.
Well, we'll see. But no, we'll start off. Last time it was fight night. It's love night tonight, Mark.
I think I prefer fight night, guys. Yeah. Keep your love that direction, James.
Anyway, Mark, how are you?
I'm well, James. You've been gallivanting around Eastern Europe, I see?
Yes, I have. I've been to Slovenia.
Uh-huh.
I was a bit scared, actually, because I'd seen the film Hostel, which was about Slovakia, and that was a pretty scary film, and Slovenia sounded a bit too like Slovakia for mine.
Yeah.
So I was a bit worried, but it was all right.
But you were okay. You got back safely.
It was great.
Now,
Good
I have
fun.
a question for you.
Go on then.
Yeah. I bet you raised a few times with King Queen, didn't you, while you were abroad? Come on, admit it. You did, didn't you?
I didn't.
You didn't. You always just flat called with it.
I did not raise. I did go all in with a 9-7 off suit, but I never raised with King Queen.
Oh, I've got something to tell you then.
Come on then.
9-7 rules in the land of the unraised pot. Did you know that? It's true.
Right. Anyway, you can contact us tonight. If you want to ask any questions, please contact us. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any jokes, any comments, just contact us. Here's how you do it. The text number is 84222. And of course, put poker before your question. Or you can email us at poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Okay, we really want to hear your questions, and so please contact us. Anyway, let's have a look to see what we've got on the menu tonight. And Mark, would you like to lead us
I will
around the
indeed,
tables?
yeah. We have... Okay, on the first table, we've got a $20 sit and go. That one is a tournament table. You need $20 to play in it, and they give you, I think it's 1,000 chips. So that one is a sit and go tournament for you. On table 2, we have a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. And on that particular table, this is a cash game. It's not a knockout. Maximum buy-in is $50. Minimum buy-in is $5. So you can see a couple of empty seats there. And finally, on table 3 is our multi-table tournament. And this one is a private members game, James.
Yes, it was instigated by one of the forum regulars.
Okay.
A very good idea, and it's been running for quite a few weeks now.
Okay, now just to give you some information on that. 27 entrants started off that one across 4 tables, so we'll see how that one works out.
Okay, welcome back. And I'll tell you what, we'll have a look at the table. What shall we look at to start with?
Should we go for a cash game? Yeah.
Okay, we'll start off with a cash game.
Okay.
Okay, there we are, and it's a baby cash game. It's 25 cent, 50 cent. And we've got a regular there, Lumas. A mover and a groover, Mark.
Yeah, he certainly is that. Yeah, he's a pretty good player, Sam. He's got 1 or 2 tricks up his sleeve. He sometimes gets a little bit carried away.
Yes, I think he's got some great plays, but I think he just sometimes does overdo it a little bit.
Yeah.
The problem is with being able to have lots of moves, you've got to also be able to find the brake pedal as well as the accelerator, as I put it.
Yeah, very true.
Because you then have to sort of regain some credibility. Because once you just look like you're making moves all the time, you're not going to get people to put the hand down.
Yeah.
Now, it's all very well if you find a big hand, because now you're probably going to get rewarded.
Look at this, James. He's got your favourite hand. Let's see how he plays it. King, Queen. Now, he should raise here, shouldn't he? Even for you. You would raise here.
He's on late position there. It hasn't been raised. It's an unraised pot before him, so it's already gained in strength. And I quite like the little raise he did there because he...
Minimum raise?
I don't mind that there. Yeah,
No?
because he can play it against them. He's got position. I don't mind that. He can get a bit of action with it. It's all right.
Okay, so
Actually, I've got a later.
You've got the Browning stamp of approval there, Loomis, with the King Queen.
Later on the night, I've got a quite interesting hand I'd like to talk through with you.
Okay.
But not to do with King Queen, believe it or not.
He's got Silk Cut's got your other favourite hand, 9-7. You just threw away.
Didn't like that at all. That was.
So we're getting some funny hands coming across the board. I was on with Tom the other day, and he was telling me that he went all in with 10-3.
Right, and there's times when that's the correct thing to do. I mean, if you just...
Well, they was in early position, though, so I'm not sure that was the right thing to do at that moment. But he obviously felt it was, because I think the big blind was coming around to him in a couple of hands' time.
I think there's lots... Because the thing is there, if you've got no play left, you know, a move's a move. And then early position move there, people might think, oh, you've got to have a hand now. You might actually get the pass because of that.
Yeah, that's another good point. And plus, he did say that he did have a tight image at that point. So, you know, a tight image plus raising in early position.
And if he had just enough chips to get people to put it down, I don't mind that. In fact, I have done this play myself. I've done, with just two, basically, without looking at my cards virtually.
Now, come on, James.
No,
I don't believe that you've actually made this play. I mean,
of course
I can understand Tom making this play, but you?
Of course, there's a time for every play. I'm sure I've made every play there is to make at times. Many a time. I mean, once I'm down there to know, you know, if the rounds are very expensive and I've got very little play left, I'll be pushing with all sorts of things.
God, look at this, James. We've got a nice little hand building up here. We've got POC boy with the ace queen. The jacks has just decided to call. The 5 snap it with a 5-6, which I don't mind. Now, what will Sam do? This will be interesting.
Snap it there is fine because he's got position.
Oh, this is danger for Loomis.
Look at this, snap
and
it.
He's checked it. Wow.
Snap it, pinged it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, and this is Loomis has got himself out of this. Was he going to get a triple re-raise?
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
The ace queen's made the move. The jacks is raised. There's a flush draw there, so Snap It decides he's going to re-raise.
Yeah, and Loomis is thinking, gosh, I've got an overpair, and these three are raising me out of the pot. Incredible.
Well, the ace queen can get away from this easily.
Yeah, it's very easy for the ace queen now.
Should not call. I mean, that'd be dreadful to call. It doesn't.
And that was, of course, the right play by Sam, wasn't it? To
the
drop
pair
the
of jacks there.
To drop the 9s.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Of course. Because he's worried about 2 players now. It's quite likely someone's got an overpair to him, and it might be someone's got even better, maybe trips or possibly flop the straight.
Now, I hope that Snap It has read this correctly, because he must realise that he's either got an ace-7 or he's got an overpair to the board. Which is why he's betting out. So hopefully he's realised that. And
he's realised what, Mark? Sorry.
That John Zill has either got an ace-7 or an overpair to the board, which is why he's re-raising. And hopefully he's realised, Snap It, that he's not on the flush draw. So I think he's actually believed him for a flush draw, and he happened to have got away with it on that occasion because he was trying to bet him out off the flush draw.
Yes, personally, he isn't actually... He's done fine. He's got all his money anyway. That's great.
Yeah.
I liked this call to start with. He had position on enough players there.
Yeah, he's on the button.
Yeah, he's on the button, and that 150 raise. I said it before. I saw you flop the straight. I said, yeah, I like the call from him on the button. Fine. He's got position. It's an easy hand to get away from if you haven't connected. And of course, it's not the sort of hand that they're going to be putting Snap It on 5-6. So it was a great hand. Funny enough, when it comes to the flush draw there. I'm not certain that I give the game away fully by doing the extra re-raise there.
Right, on the flop you mean?
Because I'm not going to get rid of the flushes
anyway. That was something
anyway.
I was going to ask you, yeah.
I don't. I actually I deceptively just call the second raise there because I don't want to scare off the other person.
Right.
So now if I just call, it's actually probably going to give the other guy thinks he's getting value being in there. And he thinks, well, Snap It hasn't got so much because he doesn't want to re-raise.
Right.
So I'd be disguising the fact I've flopped a straight.
And you're not worried about
the
flush draw?
I don't think I'm getting rid of them. I think I lose when the flush comes anyway. I know
do you want them to make them pay a little more, perhaps?
Well, I would like to, but it's...
So you don't want to give the game away?
I don't want to give the game away. And it could be that they've only got 1 diamond and I can charge them on the turn and really get very nice value there. But I think just for deception, I would have really contemplated deception there.
Yeah. So in your opinion, then
I don't think it was a terrible play. I think it's a close decision.
Right.
But I think
you
that's
think there's more equity in not doing
basically.
that?
I think sometimes we shouldn't just automatically say, "Oh, it's a flush. I've got to charge him for the flush." Because basically, you are announcing, I have got a made hand and I'm charging you for the flush draw.
Yeah.
You're shouting that out from the rooftops.
Yeah.
If he just calls the raise, people go, you can't have that much because if he had the made hand, he'd be getting rid of us.
Yeah.
So maybe he's on a bit of a draw. So they think he's on the draw. They think he's on the flush draw. That's what you would translate it as, wouldn't you?
Of course, the two people he probably had to worry about was obviously Sam Loomis, with who hadn't acted yet, and the first initial raiser who might have had the flush draw. The other one who's done the second re-raise is unlikely to re-raise again with a flush draw.
Yeah, but if he just calls, Loomis, if he re-raises, well, that's wonderful for Snap It.
Yeah.
Now he gets all his money in, but he's captured the extra money.
He's captured.
So I'd be looking to hope the other guy's going to re-raise. I know no one's got my straight beaten.
Yeah.
I want to just be deceptive there. And actually, the more I think about it, I really think that was the right play, was to be deceptive. I'm not saying that because I know there wasn't a flush draw there. Even if there's a flush draw, I think it's right. That extra deception, I think, could have got more money. Especially with Loomis. We know he's a mover and a groover.
Yeah.
He could have tempted Loomis to say, oh, Snap It hasn't got it. Maybe I come over the top, I can get rid of them all. Possible.
Yeah, good point.
So,
that would have been interesting to see how that develops. So hopefully we'll get some more of those situations cropping up
later on.
But
that's a lovely, very interesting hand, that, really.
It was a good hand, yeah. So, well, hopefully we can see a few more of those hands developing throughout the night, because, as you know, Hold'em is a game where it can change from one card to the next, and you do get a lot of changes in this game, don't you, James? 1 minute you're miles ahead. But Tom was telling me the other day how he'd flopped the nut flush with ace-king suited. The flop was something like 7, 8, 9. Sorry, it was 8, 9, 10. Right. And the guy had a pair of jacks.
Oh, no.
You heard about this?
No, I didn't. I can see the story possibly. Yeah, go
on. And it came, as I said, it came 8, 9, 10. The guy had a pair of jacks, and he hit a
straight flush.
No, he hit 8, 8 on the next two cards.
I thought he was going to hit the straight flush. Yeah, like the jack of diamonds.
8, 8 on the next two cards. How horrible is that?
That is pretty bad.
Yeah, especially when you got ace king suited. It looks lovely, doesn't it? You flop that nut flush. You think, how can I get this guy's money? And it just pings you.
Anyway, in that previous hand we were discussing, I want to say well done, however, to Ken Snap It, because he's actually, I think a while back, I don't think we'd have even seen him calling with the 6-5 offsuit.
No.
Unbutton. And
he certainly wouldn't have done in the early days.
No,
when I started
and I think that
play.
just shows that his game has developed, and I think that's great. It's good to see. I know he plays very well now. He plays well, but I'm glad to see that he recognised the opportunity there, because he's still a solid player, but he thought he is an exception, and that is thinking poker. But basically, Ken, just have a little think about what I said there, that we do have that option for deception. We don't always automatically have to say, I'm going to charge you for the flush draw. It doesn't have to be that, because none of our plays should always be automatic, because we've always got to leave our opponents guessing. Because if we always do the same thing, well, we become an open book.
So would that have changed your view, James? Because at that time there were a total of 4 people in that pot. If there was like an extra person in that pot, would that have changed the way you would have played it?
There was.
I think there was 4 including Snap It, wasn't there?
Right. I thought it was Loomis, Johnsill, and Snap It.
I think Loomis was... no, the Hutch was with the ace queen.
PFC went, didn't he?
Yeah, because Loomis had the 9s, Johnsill had the jacks, and PFC boy had ace queen.
Okay, yeah,
like
that's
that.
right. Yeah, that's
something
right.
like that.
Yeah,
anyway.
okay, that's right.
So would it have made an extra difference if one person extra was in there?
I just think I'm leaving the door open for someone to get a bit chirpy here, because I'm not declaring I've got the hand. As I said, I'm not getting rid of the flush draws here, because if I bet, if they think there's enough people there that they can afford to call it anyway, that's why. So I'm not going to avoid that disaster. I'm charging them for it, but I'm not going to get... If the disaster comes, I'm not going to avoid it. So I think I'm trying to be cute to try and get more money with this made hand of mine. And on the turn, now I charge them.
Right.
Because it's a great time. They might just be when they're 4-1 against to try and hit the flush. Well, now I'm really giving them a bad deal, aren't I?
Well, Loomis has got the worst hand here, and he's trying to get them both off it, and he has. Virtual opposition. There you go. He thought of an amount they could get rid of them, and that was the right amount.
Well, Loomis doesn't missed many of those opportunities, I have to admit.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. That's right, he doesn't. He uses his position very well, usually. So he now takes him over that threshold of 50, and Snap-it has practically doubled his money there by virtue of that 5-6. So that earns him a lot of cash in that last one, so well done. And a couple of interesting hands here, James. Look, we have a pair of 5s, a pair of 7s, a pair of 2s, ace-king, and a 4-5 for Snap-it to boot, 4-5 suited. The only one that isn't going to get a look in is Portman Road, I guess. Don't think you want to get involved with the king 4. No prospects there. Decides to give it a miss. 5s is looking for a 5, and Folly doesn't want to know. Oh, look at that. He would have got all of Silcut's money had he have been in this pot. Now, why did he not call, James, with the pair of 7s?
Yeah, it's...
Does that make sense?
How much was the bet? No, it's
3.
only a small bet. Yeah, so
yeah, he's really in there for...
Yeah, I think generally in no limit, it's not like... In a limit game, with small pairs, you do need a lot of company, because you can't get rewarded. You get your trips, you don't get paid enough, you know. So you need a lot of company
James,
in a limit game.
just to interrupt you here for a moment. Look at this. The Hutch has re-raised Silcut, think he's got nothing. And Silcut's thinking, shall I flat call or raise? Yeah. There's obviously no mention of fold in his mind. And he's thought, well, let's see if we can get a little bit more out of him. And now, does the Hutch think he's just trying to re-raise me with nothing because he thinks I've got nothing? Or is he actually...
No, he's going to get away from it. He's
had enough now?
That was a guaranteed slow play position there for Silcut. I don't like his raise. Whether he calls or not. No, I don't like the raise at all.
Yeah, so he should have flat called
well, of course he should have done.
Hope for the king or ace to appear.
Because if the guy's got nothing, the only way he can get money off him is by checking. So he doesn't have to have a hand. The guy might have been making a move. Well, give the guy a chance to make a move again. He might have nothing. He can't call a re-raise with nothing. He's only got the one opponent there. It's a rainbow flop this time. He's actually not risking anything at all, basically, or possibly a possible straight, but it's an unlikely one.
So let me just put
that was a slow play position.
Let me develop this premise for you, this situation, this current situation that we've just had. Let's say that he was to flat call. Now, bear in mind he's out of position, Silcut. When does he now put in a re-raise, do you think? When is the best time to... Well, should he check the turn?
Yeah, I think he checks the turn there.
He checks the turn. Now, let's say the Hutch puts a little bet out again, say 7 or something like that.
Now he can re-raise it.
Now is a time. So you think now is a time to re-raise rather than a river?
Not on the flop. No, not on the river. No, on the turn he does it.
On the turn.
Because maybe the guys, another card's come, maybe it's giving him some sort of draw anyway. He now wonders, I wonder if you're just trying to bully me off it or whatever. But at least you've captured the extra bet.
Yeah, and you're giving him, making him pay any kind of draw that he might have picked
and
up.
he might call you re-raise now.
Yeah, because now don't forget, also, as well as hitting his ace or king, he might hit something like a queen, which gives him an inside straight draw. Not a particularly good one, but you might call him for a small bet, a small re-raise.
The more I looked at that, that was actually probably a situation where I'd have given as a demonstration as a slow play position. I think it was just perfect. He's out of position. He can feign weakness by checking. The guy bets. He can sort of reluctantly call, sort of thing. Check again, and he leaves the door open.
You don't want to check raise on the turn.
On the turn?
Yeah.
Yes, I do that.
Oh, you want to check raise?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you're giving him the chance to.
On the turn, I check.
Oh, okay.
And I'm leaving because I'm leaving the door open for the guy who's got no hand.
Right.
I want to get money off the guy who wants.
You're not worried about the fact that he might check as well.
Yes, but then he wouldn't have called if I'd bet anyway. If he checks, then he wouldn't have called my bet.
Yeah.
So it's irrelevant. Yeah. I want the guy who's going to says, oh, you're weak, aren't you? I'll try again. Yeah. So I've got his money. It's the only way I can get his money. Sure. I can't get it if I bet him. He's going to say
very
no.
good point there from James.
So, as I said, there was no risk. There was a rainbow flop and an unlikely straight draw. And so that was about as safe as it gets.
Well, Silcut's got ace-king, and I think he's put out a little bit of a feeler bet there. He's asking POC, boy, do you have a really strong hand? Or oh, he has now.
Look at that. He has, hasn't he? Lucky sevens.
And look at that. He checked like in a flash, didn't he? Yep. He didn't want to...
and now he's left the door open. If he bets, there's no way that Silcut would call. He's risking nothing. He's just leaving the door open for him. There it is. Demonstrated his
asset. So he should be called then. Just call here.
Yes, just exactly call. The same situation. And he's made the mistake again. Yeah. He's made the mistake.
Because that's a pretty unscary board, isn't it?
Yeah. A very unscary board.
Yeah, if there was a couple of picture cards in there, like a 10 Jack or a Jack Queen or something.
Yeah, he's got a bit more scary now because out of 5, but it's still unlikely that it's made the 5 made a straight. It's unlikely.
Yeah, he's now giving him 4-1 to call.
Okay, could have been 8. No, it's unlikely. 8-6 he'd have had to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't leave the door open for him again. He had to. He
still got him to call though.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You've obviously got to know your player. And one thing that obviously me and James aren't incorporating into this is that we're talking about from a very, very technical point of view and not a player-related point of view. If you know that your player is a bit of a loose cannon and he's likely to give you a call, then there might be a few more reasons for him to do that.
Yes, I mean, but there's not too many players should be calling just with overcards, really. It's not a great play in the long run.
Yeah. But if you feel that your opponent is a bit of a loosey-goosey?
Yeah, sometimes. But I think it's a dangerous... I mean, personally, I think it is...
Just giving too much away?
No, I just think it's very dangerous. When you call situations with overcards, it's horrible. Because you don't even know that you've got the 6 outs. You've only got 6 outs anyway, but you don't know you've got 6 outs.
Yeah.
Could be on this...
You might be drawing to 3 outs.
To 3 outs.
Yeah, because,
and then you hit your card, you go, bingo, I've hit my ace, and the guy's got ace-3, and he's got 2 pairs, and you lose a fortune.
Yeah, you lose even more.
Yes, that's why I hate it.
Yeah.
And so I just generally don't like people calling with... I don't like calling with just overcards, because I don't know where I am.
We've got another thing this time. He's made it very expensive for him, though. Loomis did have a flush draw, but not a particularly good one. And the fact that he was first to act probably said, well, I don't know what the other guy's going to do. If they start re-raising, then it's going to cost me a fortune. So he decided to throw away his flush draw.
Well, he was out of position, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he only had a 6 high flush draw, so I don't blame him for that. If he had an ace high flush draw, he might want to call. Got an overcard to the board as well.
Top pair there for silk cut.
I think that's a good fold for Loomis there.
Yeah, I think so.
It was too expensive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Call for 8. He's only getting 2.5 to 1 his money.
And then not to know where he was.
Yeah, and then there's no guarantee that your flush is even going to be the best hand. Absolutely. With a 6 high flush. Plus, it could be overtaken if another heart comes down. So, yeah, that was a good fold by Loomis. Well done. So, picked up a few interesting hands so far, James.
Yes, and actually some good hands for thinking about technique.
Uh-huh. Oh, look, we've got more trouble here for someone. He's hit his 9, which gives him a second pair with top kicker, and he's now hit an up and down straight draw.
Oh, and he's pinged 2 pair.
Yeah, he's not going to get anything out of the hutch, though. If it was the ace of the diamonds, he might have done, but certainly not. He's got to try and bluff it. He's given him a chance to try and bluff.
Yeah.
Although he was probably worried about the flush potential, but
oh no!
He thought he had the flush.
Oh well, that's dreadful. No, sorry, that is no. You can't. You can't. No. This is really a poor pass here. You've hit 2 pair here. You're beating. You really can think you're beating everything bar.
10 Jack or a diamond.
Yeah, but it's unlikely the guy's got a made hand here. I just don't. I don't think you can put.
And why is that, James? Why is that sometimes a good fold when he has got the diamonds, and sometimes it's not such a good fold?
You often quote exactly what it is to flop a flush. It's just
118 to 1. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's how unlikely it is the guy has flopped a flush. You can't really be frightened of people flopping flushes. Otherwise, you can't play this game.
Yeah. And of course...
So, he could have had the straight as well. But to me...
He made an interesting bet, though, didn't he? He made a bet of 6... He well over-betted the pot, in fact. The bet was $6.50 into a $4 pot, or thereabouts.
Yeah. So therefore, if you've got the flush, would you really want to be frightening him out?
Yeah.
Or the straight? No.
So it was just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've got another interesting situation. We've got all sorts of situations coming up here, James. We've got a pretty good board for a pair of 5s. But snap it. He gave that up very quickly, although he didn't want to do it with the paired board, and I don't blame him, chasing an inside straight draw plus 2 overcards.
Up and down straight for Portman Road,
Yeah.
but it's a paired board.
No, you don't want to chase the...
And also 8-8-9...
It's the bad part of the straight as well.
Yeah. Also, you look at a flop sometimes and say, okay, again, it's very unlikely, but you just always cast your mind what could be there. Obviously, this when there's 3 diamonds, you think could the guy be there with a flush or whatever. 8-9, you think, oh my goodness, paired board, could he have 8-9? Well, that's a playable hand. connectors. Yeah. So
and of course, he might even have the mother of all hands 7-8, which is not as good as 8-9 in that situation, but it's.
He wouldn't be so worried about that because he would not a house there though. But
no, we've still got a set.
He probably knows it was coming the 7. So we've got more action here. What a lovely flop for Silk Cut here.
Yeah, although
middle
not so
pin,
much action for the other guys.
Middle pin straight and a flush draw.
Middle pin straight?
Isn't it? 10.
No, 10 doesn't.
A 10 gives him a straight.
Gives
9, 10, Jack, Queen, King.
9, 10. Oh, I see. For Silk Cut. Sorry, I was looking for the other guys.
That's a very good flop for Silk Cut.
Yeah.
Flush draw and a middle pin straight.
I was looking for a straight for the other two guys, but they've got nothing apart from second pair and nothing.
No, I said Silk Cut.
Oh, okay.
Great flop for him.
Yeah, very good. Very good indeed.
And he might have overcards as well, which he actually has. So, he's got 18 outs he had.
Hutch is a bit of a non-believer, isn't he?
18 outs Silk Cut had. Well, I'll tell you what.
He's done it again. This time...
Well, Hutch must have a fearsome reputation, because how on earth Silk Cut could pass that? We can see he's got 18 outs. My goodness.
And he scared Johnzil off before.
And
as well, didn't he?
When we look at that, we say, right, in that situation, you've got to say, well, I've got 18 outs, so now, etc., etc. That's a lot better than normal. And also, he should have made the move before then, obviously, because he had a great hand there. You can have the flush draw, the middle pin straight draw, and his king and queen might be. If he pings those, this might well be winning. It's well within the realms of...
so should he have bet that on the flop?
Oh, he should have played aggressively, this hand, yeah.
So once he's got that on the flop, he should be playing aggressively.
But in the end there, he didn't bet enough, because he's got the different scenarios there. If the guy's got a hand, he's got hands he knows will beat his hand if he connects. And the guy might have no hand. And he might be winning just with his cards as they are. The guy might be stealing. If you put the whole package together, you just can't put that down.
He's got a big hand, hasn't he?
He has got a big hand. And the guy didn't bet too much for him to call.
Yeah.
So that was we've seen another really
James,
strange
I have
pass.
to shake your hand. Because that was... We agree on King Queen.
Oh!
Well, there it is again. King Queen has reared itself, this time in spades. And he's raising with it, James. No, you don't like that, do you?
No.
Early position. He might get away with it. PSU Boy hasn't done very much here up to now in terms of when we've seen him. He's hardly played a hand. And Loomis doesn't believe him. But when's he going to start? Oh, he's actually made it in the end.
He's made the straight. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for Loomis. And he's...
The POC boy's wondering, is this one of Loomis's tricks again? Trying to steal this pot?
Now, this is interesting. Actually, that was a good comment there, because
He doesn't pay.
even Loomis can't get paid because the guy's on. But Loomis, of course, he can actually have a slightly different slant to his betting, because he has a reputation for doing a lot of bluffs. So therefore, when he does have hands, he can actually bet with them, because people think, oh, you again, Loomis, you haven't got one.
He's got it again, James. Look, he's got the pair of jacks this time. But we'll come back to that comment in a moment, because that's an interesting topic. Well, inside straight draw of 2 overcards plus backdoor flush draw for Portman Road.
I don't like this check by Loomis. It's not big enough to slow play. And you've got to find out where you are here.
It saved him a lot of time before, saved him a lot of money last time with the 9, so didn't it, James? But he had 2 overcards.
How does he know what this bet means?
Well, he's going to re-raise, I presume. With jacks, he feels more comfortable, I guess.
Well, okay.
I'm
not certain against 3 people whether his hand is good enough to slow play, which is what he was doing basically.
Yeah.
But does he
ask more of a question by doing this?
Well, now, yes, he has asked a question, but of course he now, if he's walked into something, he's cost himself more money.
Yeah. I actually prefer that play, to be honest with you.
Okay. I like check raising. I don't know whether he's...
You see, the reason I'm a little bit
what if they all...
indifferent to that is what happens is if I bet now, let's say for the pot, more, should have $4.
What if they all check?
Well, that's a chance you've got to take.
And that's a dangerous flop.
If it's a passive table...
That's a dangerous flop. It too easily makes someone with funny cards a hand.
See, I'd be worried a little bit is if I had bet the pot and then I just get flat called. I'm thinking, what was he flat calling me with?
Right.
It doesn't tell me anything. That's the
Well,
problem.
I presume you thinned the field.
Yeah, you would have knocked out a couple of them, hopefully.
Right. Supposing you check there, as he does, and supposing they all check, how many cards do you not like? You don't like Queen, King, Ace. You don't like any card anywhere near that straight.
That's a good point. Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's a lot of...
That is the one danger of playing it that way.
And imagine there were 3 people sat behind you. Well, if any of those cards came, you can't really play anymore because you say, well, there's 3 of them there.
Well, it's nearly guaranteed to come.
Yeah, and there's 3 of them, so it's quite likely one of them's got it.
You're playing it basically in the mode that you can check raise and that someone else will bet. You've got to have a pretty good feeling that someone will.
If the poker god told you they're definitely going to bet, well, you say, okay, well, fair enough, I'll do the check raise on them.
Yeah.
But if you don't know they're going to bet, because they might go check.
But but if you've been sitting at the table, when we're talking obviously from a technical point of view, you haven't been sitting with these players, so we don't know how they've been playing. But obviously he's been sitting with them maybe for an hour, maybe for 2 hours.
Right.
So he would have got generally a feel of what their betting strategies are like and have been for the last hour or two, hopefully. And maybe that's given him a clue as to, well, there's a good chance that one of these 3 is likely to bet. Maybe he put it at an 80% chance or an 85% chance. You think, well, there's a good chance that one of the back 2 will try and steal it, thinking that no one's got any part of that. So maybe then I can come in and try and check raise. So that's one thing. It's very hard to counter for, isn't it? Because we haven't been seeing that.
No. If I'm against one opponent, I'll play for the check raise.
Okay.
Because it looks like weakness now. It looks like I've missed. I've left the door open, and I think now quite a lot of the time he will be betting with.
Isn't it interesting? Because now we have come across about something that is different.
Yeah.
Because I'm more scared of doing that against one opponent.
Why?
Because I think with one opponent there's more likelihood that he'll check behind me. There's only one person left to act. Now he's likely to think,
but he's less likely to hit anything.
He's less likely to hit as well. That's my point. So, but he's also less likely to raise, to bet.
No. If I'm now in early position, I check. More times than not, I'm checking because I've got nothing. The guy who's got position, more times than not, bets.
Well,
people bet with nothing more times against one person because they do far more.
If they've got the
the person doesn't bet
if they've got the lead in the betting, though.
The person with position doesn't bet out with nothing against 3 people.
No, by the same token, it helps if you've got the lead in the betting, though, doesn't it? To make that move that you just suggested.
Yeah, well then,
because he hasn't.
But if against one person, you get rid of him if he's got nothing. But if he's got a monster, then you walk into him. You don't get... What I want to capture is, I want to capture there against the one person, I want to capture the moves, I want to capture the bluff bets. If you capture the bets where the guy's got nothing, this is wonderful, isn't it? The guy's decided to give you money when he's got no hand at all.
Yeah. So
that's why in that one against the one guy, I want to give him that window opportunity to...
And are you not worried in that situation that... you see, I would be worried that he checks in that situation. And then you've mentioned a whole bunch of scare cards that are going to be scary for me now.
But I'm not as scared with one person of this. These cards don't scare me as much. I'll find out next time with that scare card. But against 3, they've got 6 cards to hit one of these. Now I know someone's hit something. The guy's only got 2 cards. He can't hit all the scare. He doesn't own all the scare cards. He's only got 2 cards.
So there's less chance of him making something on the turn.
It's highly likely it's not his scare card come... it's not suited him. But now I'll bet and I'll find out where I am now. I'll pretend that card's good for me.
Yeah.
It's only 1 over card. A queen comes, okay. I bet.
Now, just changing slightly the subject, would you change the way you'd play that particular hand, whether it was a tournament or a cash game?
Oh, yes. Definitely. Definitely. And it would depend how I was... If I'm playing in a tournament, it would depend how I was doing in the tournament, how,
There's a whole lot of other variables to take
So many variables in there now.
Yeah, and that's a good point for our viewers to remember, isn't it? Because there is a situation whereby what we're talking about here is specific to cash games, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's a good point you're making, because you can have the same situation with exactly the same hands, etc., number of players, and it could well be played differently, in my mind, in a tournament, just depending purely on your own situation.
And one of those key situations or one of those key variables in there is the need for survival.
Yes. Or if you're desperate, it might be you just say, well, I need to get chips here, and if I die, so what? Because I didn't have much of a life anyway.
Yeah.
So now I can afford to be riskier because I have to be, because I need chips.
So you need to assess the risk assessment.
Yes,
you need to make a risk assessment.
It's your risk-reward ratio in relation to your situation,
Yeah.
which is different. If you're hungry for chips, you say, well, I've got to try and just maximise whatever I can get out of this because I can get one bam right back in this tournament. No point me taking this down now because I'm still struggling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a good time to slow play aces is when you're desperate, isn't it? You've got to get paid with this
Absolutely,
hand.
yeah.
You need to play it. I said, okay, you beat me with 2 pair. Well done. I was going out anyway. Who cares? You've got to. That's when you've got to maximise.
You've got to take the chance. Yeah.
However, when you're cruising along in situation or you're just above average, now you take. You know, you play a different style.
We've had the Hutch limp in with 4-5 James here, and Snappit has raised from the cut-off to 2. So we've got called by the big blind with a pair of 6s. What do you make of the cut-off raise there? Probably a good bet, no?
Yes, I think it's fine. Yes, it's one limper.
Now, this is a good flop for Folly. What would you like him to see him do there? Is that the right move?
Well, I don't know what he's planning on doing next. Let's see what
he's going to check raise, I presume.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's fine. If he's done that, he's against Snap It. He's left the door open for him betting with nothing. It's basically what I'm saying with the jacks head on. It's the same thing, except with the jacks, it's more powerful because you know where you are with the re-raise.
Yeah.
So he's exactly the same thing as I was talking about.
But you've got to be fairly confident that the guy's not a passive player.
No,
as well.
But Snap It's not the wildest player, but we captured his money when he had nothing.
But Snappit is a player that you know that on a checked flop he's
probably
likely,
put in
especially if he's got the betting lead.
Exactly. Yeah. But wasn't that a good demonstration there of actually what I was saying?
Yeah. I think the only difference between that scenario and that scenario in the previous scenario was that Snappit did have the betting lead in that, which made it an obvious for him that there was a big chance.
If I was Loomis against one opponent, same position as he was, that's how I would play it. I would play for the check raise against the one opponent. Because I can capture the bets when the guy has no hand.
Sure.
I capture the continuation bets.
No, but what I'm saying is in the previous example that we saw earlier, is that the guy...
Oh, when he had 3 opponents?
No, the one against with Jacks we were talking about if he only had one opponent.
Yes.
Yeah, so not the previous example, but with only one opponent.
Yes.
That he didn't have the betting lead, so there's less likely that it's going to be...
Loomis did have the betting lead.
No, Loomis had the betting lead, but he also had the hand. I'm talking about the other guy doing it. We're probably losing our viewers here on this one, I think, because we're making up a scenario that doesn't really exist.
No, it was the same scenario. I'm talking about Loomis had in early position with the pair against one opponent. I said I would check to leave the door open for the guy to make a continuation bet or to bluff. Just exactly what the Sixers did. He was first to speak, but he checked. He left the door open for Snappit to bet.
Yeah, but Snappit had the continuation. He had the betting lead, whereas the other guy, Sam, had the betting lead.
He'd done the raise. Yeah, but position, people, even if they haven't done a raise, still have the option to bet.
That's not a continuation bet.
No, but it's a position bet.
A positional bet, yeah.
So I'm leaving the door open either for a continuation bet or a position bet. They're cousins.
Yeah. Do you find that though, when you're making these positional bets or in these situations, isn't it a bit? It's a bit different in as much that Sam had the betting lead,
yes,
and now he's checked a sort of an unscary board. Now the other guy must be thinking. Surely, he must be thinking. Well, hold on a sec. You had the betting lead, and now you're not betting on a board. Doesn't look scary. Why is that?
Well, if the
Do you see what I mean?
With Loomis, yes, because Loomis is a mover and a groover. But on regular players, most people, if they've got nothing, check.
Yeah, perhaps we can just go back here because I think we've got an interesting hand developing here.
Oh my goodness!
So he's re-raised him and
he's in the land of disaster. Oh, at least he got away from the end there.
Yeah. Yeah, he tried it, didn't he?
He's a trier, that's for sure.
He tried to represent that flush, and unfortunately he was representing the hand that his opponent have, and sometimes that will happen. So, oh, those jacks are back.
The jacks are back.
This time, and John Zill, they've been hovering around John Zill's area, haven't they, I think? Those jacks. Was it him that had them before as well, wasn't it? We shall see how he plays it this time. Well,
6-9-8.
Oof.
So we've got an up and down straight for Loomis.
Yeah, with a backdoor flush. We've got the over pair. And we've got...
top pair for snap it.
Oh, that will slow Johnzil down a little. Now...
well, I think he's got... Now... I think
what should snap it do here, James?
Well, no, what should Johnzil have done? Oh, snap it actually should have bet, I think. Even though I could see he was losing. But he just decided just to check it down.
Yeah. He thought, maybe I can't get this guy off this hand anymore.
What happens if he bets? I don't know. It's interesting. Because ace is a very dangerous card, more than any other. If you're looking at one high card on a flop, the ace is the one which is going to scare people the most because it's the one which people are more likely to play with.
Yeah. The only thing
people play with aces.
I agree. The only thing with that situation is that the story wasn't following through if Snappy was to do that because he had already bet on the flop with no ace there.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, so the guy's saying, well, hold on a second, well, make your mind up. What do you have? Do you have something else or do you have that ace? Yeah, so the story wouldn't quite fit in that situation.
think that's a good point, actually. It's maybe, and it was probably, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit harder to believe.
But what you're saying there is good, and that's something I do vouch for. I do actually like bluffs or moves to fit the storyline.
Yeah.
And so that is a really important point. So basically, you've got to try and, in your mind, if you are making a move, you've basically got to give yourself a hand, an imaginary hand, and then replay the betting to see if you can find a hand to fit the betting, to match the betting, and then play accordingly. And then pick the size of bet to make according to what you would have done with that hand.
Good fold there by Snap It. He got away from his top pair. Not good kicker. And he realised that he only had a 2 kicker and he wasn't really looking for that. He wasn't really looking for that.
Snap It's got one of the qualities which is very necessary for to play no limit hold'em is he has the capability of putting hands down. Maybe you'll put down some winners sometime. It doesn't matter because if you can put hands down in no limit hold'em, that is a key to success. Because you'll pass lots of losing hands.
Oh, look at this, James. We've got Loomis making a bet, POFC boy re-raising, and he's now got to feel fairly comfortable with that as POFC boy. And Loomis has tried to...
pausing, it's a steal from Loomis, bang.
Yeah.
Did you feel it coming?
There was no story, yeah. There was no story there.
Was it worth a go? It's like, I was watching it, and it feels like I knew he was going to do it. I'm sure if I was his opponent, I'd think the same thing.
But if you've got that hand, can you call?
Well, with less of a hand, I think I could be calling. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So, that's the problem for Loomis there, because even if I had less of a hand, I think, you're going to do it. It feels like you're going to do it, Loomis, anyway.
Yeah.
So, now, what percentage of the time does he get me to pass is the key. Now, is it mathematically going to be worthwhile? Because bluffs end up being mathematical like anything else.
Yeah, I mean, POC boy played it pretty sneakily as well because he checked the flop and the turn.
He did.
He was basically announcing that I don't have an ace.
And why did he do that?
Well, I think the flop I can understand because
why? Because of...
I don't know why.
Because of his opponent.
Yeah, but to do it twice?
No, because of his opponent.
So he was just hoping for a raise, a button.
He was against Loomis. He knows he's against Loomis, who's a better.
Yeah, that was dangerous though. That board was a little bit dangerous as well. Ace Jack 9, couple of spades on there as well. He could have let him suck out on him, couldn't he?
Yeah, but I'm sure it's just purely because he's against Loomis, because he knows that anyone who plays as many hands...
Would you have done it that way?
Against Loomis, possibly, because Loomis plays so many hands. I'm thinking he plays he can't have hands all the time.
Yeah.
And he does make moves. So I think the only way I'll get paid here, he passes. Loomis will pass hands. Won't he? He'll pass hands.
He will, yeah. Did POFC boy raise at the end there? I don't think he did. I think he was a little bit worried. I think about that he might have a better ace.
No, but in the end there, it doesn't matter. Because if the guy's got nothing, he's not going to call you raise. And if you're only going to be called if the guy's got you beaten, it's no good. He's right not to.
That's what I mean. So that's what I'm saying.
No, but that's his technical... Even if
my point is, I'm saying the reason he didn't bet on the flop and the turn is because he was worried that maybe he had a better hand.
It wasn't a Loomis style. So... no, I think he knew he was winning. But in the end there, he's still technically correct not to...
Yeah.
You know, Loomis is only... If he's been playing it tricky, he's got a monster. And he's not going to call with anything else anyway. So you say, OK.
Yeah. No, I was really referring to the flop and the turn as to what he was thinking was. But interesting, Wayne, interesting. Like you said, you never know with Loomis what he might have.
Okay, let's have, we've got some emails popping in here, so let's have a little look. Okay, and we've got an email here from Chris. Hi guys, great show again. I'm thinking of moving up a level. I play $10 sit and goes, just like to see if you think I'm ready for it. Been playing for cash now for 7 months, played for fun for about 1 year before that. Very good patience. My last 50 sit and goes read like this. 18 times, bubbled 5 times, came third 7, came second 8, and came first 12. Well, my goodness, that's a high percentage of wins in 50 sit and goes, isn't it?
Well, he's cashed 27 times out of 50, so more than 1 in 2.
Fantastic.
That's very good, isn't it?
I feel confident in my game, feel I can win every room at sit and go, but my cash game is pretty rubbish. Am I playing above my limit, $25.50 and $51? I don't feel very confident when playing cash games. Any help would be greatly received. Keep up the great show, watching every night and learnt loads. Chris, thanks for a very good email. And first of all, I'd like to say your stats on the sit and goes are excellent. Now, it's hard for me to say what's going on in your money game because I'll have to see you playing it and see what's going on. It's possible, you know, you're a good tournament player. It's possible that at the moment your money game technique is not as good. It's got to be more maths orientated, the money side of it. It's got to be making plays for value, judging if you've got the correct odds to call. Whereas in the sit and goes, you might well have quite a good technique. You're probably playing pretty solid, and then you change gear, and you're attacking, and you're probably doing a lot of the right things. Whereas it's not always so mathematical at the end there, because if you've got the right concepts, you tend to sort of glide into the right mathematical situations. But at the moment, listen, I would weight your poker that you are playing more sit and goes than money. Play some money and keep on experimenting. Drop down a level if you're losing at this level. Drop down a level, but keep on playing the sit and goes and look to play the sit and goes at a higher level eventually as you build your bankroll up.
Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate what James said, if you're playing cash games and you're losing, very simple, drop down a level until you stop losing. That's the first thing. So that's the one thing you've got to do. In terms of sit and goes, you don't have to jump up to $20 ones or $15 ones, it depends on what site you're on. What you can do, if you want to, is every now and again you play a $20 one. So you keep 80% to playing $10 ones and 20% you play the $20 one. So you don't have to make a drastic change from one or the other. You can stay somewhere in between. And the way to do it in between is every 3 or 4 times you treat yourself to a $20 sit and go, and then if you find that your stats are still pretty good, then you can start doing it 2 out of every 5 games and 3 out of every 5, and then eventually it'll be your whole game will be $20 sit and goes, and before you know it, you'll be doing exactly the same with the $50 and so on.
Actually, that's an interesting comment from Mark there, because what that means is, if we just sort of dissect that a little bit more, it means that, let's presume now from these stats, because okay, it's still not enough. Listen, 50 sit and goes is not enough. There's an awful lot of luck in sit and goes, I can tell you, in the short run. But these are great stats. They're not only good stats, these are great stats. But let's say you are a winning player at $10 sit and goes. What Mark says is a clever idea, because going up to the 20, you might actually be a losing player at $20 sit and goes. It's possible. Maybe the stand is just that much better. So therefore, by only playing that small percentage, as Mark says, okay, you'll have a negative expectancy on that small percentage, but you'll still be making money on the $10. So you're not going to damage your bankroll. You'll be experimenting, but not damaging your bankroll. Personally, I think you're going to do fine in the next level. I don't think the jump to 10 to 20 is too dramatic.
No, it's not. No.
I think when we get up to 50s, I think that's quite a dramatic leap. And when you get to hundreds, I think it's really dramatic. But I think I will forecast that your 10 to 20 leap will work okay. But do it Mark's way and just put your foot in the water to start with. Let's not damage your bankroll.
And of course, he's got a lot of patience, hasn't he? So there's no point. He's been playing fun for a long time.
Oh, yes.
He's playing those
amazing.
$10, so you might as well take it slowly.
Yeah. Anyway, glad you enjoy the show, and I hope you keep on learning loads. Okay, I'll tell you what, I've got a phone call coming in. It's from Ireland and from Mike Lacey. Okay, let's see if he's there.
Okay, I'll see you later, James.
hello, Mike. Are you there?
I'm here, James.
Oh.
You made it back from Slovenia.
Yes, I have made it back, and you've made it to the phone, and that's the main thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to talk to you.
That's true.
Anyway, how are you?
I'm not too bad. It's been quite a quiet week on the Irish poker scene, so I'm nice and relaxed, ready for a trip over to Blackpool next week.
All right, that sounds good. I'll go into that in a second. A quiet in the Irish poker scene. I find that hard to believe. I bet you were playing last night anyway, weren't you?
I was playing, but that was online. So there was loads of Irish people playing online poker all week. The only major happening this week really was a qualifier for a big tournament that was held in the Fitzwilliam, and local chap Roy Brindley won that one.
Oh, Roy Brindley?
For the Poker Million.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, I'm a good friend with Roy, so I'm glad to hear about that one.
And a good friend of mine was second, Dave O'Callaghan. I think they did a little bit of a deal, which is the usual in these tournaments now. So.
Yep. Okay. And so you say that you and your crowd are going to be off to Blackpool.
Yeah, we're going. There's a few of us going over. We're going to have a bash at the main event on Saturday over there. Should be quite interesting. We'll be covering it on the antesup.com for the Irish players. I think there's 7 or 8 of us going over. There's myself, David O'Callaghan, Fintan Gavin, Leslie McLean, and Owen O'Day, and a couple of guys from Galway that I'm not too familiar with that are going over as well. So it'll be a good fun weekend, and see if we can bring some spoils back over here from you guys. Okay,
a bit of camaraderie there when you're there. And what is the? Can you give us what the details about the main event is? How much is the entry fee?
£1,000 freeze out. I haven't actually researched it too well because I only found out I was going yesterday. But I think it's a 1-hour clock event with a good start and stack. So
yeah, and it will of course be a 2-day tournament.
Yes, it is a 2-day tournament, so there should be plenty of play in it.
Good. I mean, I think Blackpool, actually, I've been there myself quite a few times. I think they put on a great festival there. And I know Danny, the card room manager there, he's a great guy. And he runs a good tight ship. And they put on some great tournaments. I'm actually pleased to say that I think I had a little influence ages ago, because Danny used to speak to me about a few things, asked me what I thought. I said I thought he had a great atmosphere there. I thought he put on great tournaments, but at that time they were putting on mainly 1-day events. And I said the problem is it's now turning into a bit of a crapshoot towards the end, which is a shame, because everything else we do is perfect. I said if you could try and have some more 2-day events, I think it would be brilliant. Well, not only did he do that, I think he's virtually made every tournament a 2-day event, I think.
Yeah, I think...
Bar the Omaha.
Yeah, the Omaha's a double chance freeze out. I think that's only on 1 day, but we won't be there in time for that. I wouldn't have minded giving that a bash, but we don't get there till Saturday, so.
But, so anyway, with 2-day events there, I think there'll be some great structures there in Blackpool. So, and I think it'll be a packed festival as normal. I think it'll be very, very good fun.
Well, hopefully it will. It's only the second time I'll have played in the UK, so the only other time I played was in the EPT at the Vic. So it'll be interesting to see the difference in styles of play, because there's a definite difference between Irish poker and the rest of Europe.
Okay, well, what I recommend you go for a donkey ride on the beach to start with, get a bit of fresh air.
And then take a ride on the big one, just to get
and go on the Big Dipper as well. Have a stick of Blackpool Rock, just in case you feel a bit peckish. Give you a bit of a sugar boost, as you know, if you start to wane a bit, and I think that'll be a formula for success.
Well, so as long as this is as good as my last trip to Blackpool, then that would be grand. We had a good trip on a stag night there not so long ago. So.
Yes, I don't suppose that was donkey rides in Blackpool Rock, but never mind.
Well, I don't know about some of them. Might have been donkeys.
How are you getting there?
We're flying over on Ryanair, and I think we'll probably get there quicker than anybody from Manchester or somewhere like that. It's about a 20-minute flight.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It hardly gets a chance to hit cruising altitude. And
what are the X's like? Is it, how expensive is that to fly?
I have no idea, because a local crowd is sponsoring our flights and accommodation, so we're playing for the Irish poker team. So they're covering that for us.
Mike, I'll be talking to you later on in the night, and thanks for that, and speak to you a little bit later.
Okay, speak to you soon, James.
Hi, and welcome back to Poker Night Live. I'm James Browning, and my compatriot tonight is Prince Charles Mark Banin, who's actually going to be playing Beat the Presenter.
Now, there is a little thing, James.
Yeah?
I've managed to get a seat.
Good.
They're still taking their time about filling up.
I can't believe that.
Barry Bully.
He is actually playing under a pseudonym of Barry Bully. So if you want to have a go at Mark, I think I'd like to get in there myself. Oh, I think it's filled up. No sooner said than done. Well done. So we'll be looking at that later on tonight. So Mark, you concentrate. I want to see you win there tonight. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's have a little look at, see if we've got an email here. And yes, we have. Sam, a.k.a. Lumas. Well, I checked the flop because I knew the initial raiser wouldn't raise with anything coinciding with 2, 3, 4, so they would have to bluff at it. I intended to check raise because by betting I may get 3 callers, and there are only a few cards I want to come as a turn card to help me. I think how I played it was correct. Yeah, that was the one where he had Jack in early position. The thing is, he said, there are only a few cards I want to come as a turn card to help me. That's true, and that's what my point was, is by check raising, there is a situation there, Lumas, where of course everyone just checks, and then you hate the next card. That was what I was making the point about. It was a bit of an exception there, because you'll hate any of the cards which are near the 2, 3 or 4, and you will hate the Queen, the King and the Ace, and you'll hate them even more because there's 3 hands out there, so it's more likely that one of them has got the card. So that was the point I was making on that one. But anyway, Lumas, it's good to hear from you, and as always, I really enjoy watching you play. You've got loads of moves, and as I've said before, if you could find a brake pedal as well at times, restructure your image at the table sometimes. Have a little spell where you go a bit quieter, get a bit more respect, and then your moves will have more weight to them, more punch to them. And that's what I would like to see. Anyway, listen, we haven't been there yet tonight. Where's that? The green. What's that? That's multi-table tournament time. So let's go have a look. And tonight's tournament is in fact the special Private Members League tournament. And tonight there were in fact 39 entrants. I think they must all be on the beer tonight. A bit short for numbers for the Private Members League there. And we're down to 19 at the moment. And that's spread out over 3 tables. Now they get points. There've been 5 of these tournaments so far, I believe. Okay, we just lost a player there, and that's the Queens there, Trip Queens against Kojak, and so it's Creamed Cage who doesn't connect at all there, I'm afraid, and the Trip Queens waltzes away with the money, and bye-bye Creamed Cage. Well and truly creamed, I'm afraid, that time. And we're actually on the big stack table here. And we can see who the big stack is. My goodness, it's a monster. It's 24 Ginger. He's got 41,780. Very impressive. Now, they get points here for these tournaments. And I said we've had, I think, 5 tournaments so far. And we have a leaderboard. And I'll give you a couple of these. Tied in 4th place, we've got Stanters and Making Jam and Bonu, who've all got 13 points. In 3rd place, we've got Llama Fish, who's got 17 points. We've got a joint 2nd, which is Jugglebug and Deem, who've both got 19 points. And top of the leaderboard at the moment is Tosha, M-T-O-S-H-A, and he has got the grand total of 21 points. So we'll see if any of these players are left in here tonight. So remember those names, see if we can spot them at the tables. I think we've got one there already. I found one, it's Stanters. He was in 4th. Oh, and there's another one. There's Froggy Boy. Is it Floggy or Froggy? Yeah, and Froggy Boy there, he's in 5th on our lead. I didn't read him out before there. He's got 11 points, actually. So he'd like to get a few more points tonight, I'm sure. So we've got a flop here, 368. We've got 150 with his Jack 8. He's got top pair. He's made it 2,000 into a pot of 2,000. So it's a pot size bet, which it offers his opponent odds of 2 to 1. Whenever you bet the pot, you are offering your opponents 2 to 1. I.e., if there's 10 in the middle and you bet 10, your opponent's got to put 10 in to call it to win 20. So therefore 20 to 10 is the same as 2 to 1. Okay, it's Super Gran. You can just see him, Super Gran there, sat with her knitting needles under her arm. Click, 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 and clicking the mouse at the same time. Super Gran, but not Super Gran that time. Come on, Super Gran, make a move. You're on the button, ace suited. Whack it in there. Come on, fight. I know there's a pair of 9s there, but yes, she's made a move. Right time to do it. Unfortunately, walked into something, so has now got to decide what to do. 4,645 left. The blinds are 250, 500. Each round is going to cost 750. Can get away from this, but then yes, and does. And that's a good pass by Super Gran there. Can just get away, but will now have to play very aggressively because does not have too much time left. Each round costing Super Gran, well, costing everyone, of course, 750. So basically, Super Gran's got 6 rounds there. You divide her stack 4645 by the 750, and that's just over 6 rounds. So that would be what we refer to as her M. That would be Harrington's M. Well, and now this is a playable hand for Super Gran. Oh well, doesn't have to do anything. Gets the money for nothing. Can't be bad. And could be aggressive here again, I think. Well, I'm not sure about that, I'm afraid to say. I know I'm not very good with King 8, but this might have been a time I'd have had to try it again. Floggy Boy saw the opportunity, but did have an ace as well, ace 7. And there's probably, Froggy Boy's made it 1,500, and that was enough. Super Gran, you see now time is starting to run out there. Doesn't want to let her really. This is really her last round, but of course the blinds will be going up shortly as well. It's a really fine, cut decision she's got here. She's really got to be trying to find a hand to push it in with. Decides that's not quite good enough, but it's now going to be a big blind next time. Stantas, 3 times a big blind with his ace 6. Froggy, no thanks. And Super Gran, what does she find in the lucky raffle? Is it a lucky hand she's got? 5-6 suited. Well, been asked the question by Stantas, made it 1,500 with K9 suited. K9 suited. K9 suited, it sounds like one of those Yorkshire Terriers with a little jacket on it. Ugh. Don't like them wearing jackets. Clay. Popular raise here at the table is 3 times the big blind. Right, I just want to keep on following here, Super Grand here. We want to see, I think now, Super Grand now has only got 5 rounds left. Now it really has to be looking to go one move, and that is going to be all in when she sees the right opening. So let's see what she does. We've got 17 runners left in this tournament. Look at that, 9-10, Jack, Queen, King, a straight flush on the flop. Unbelievable. But no opposition. What a hand to flop. Look at that. Goodness me. And manages to, Stantis is still there. Wondering how on earth can I get any money with this? Oh, and does. Stantis. Just doesn't believe. And oh my goodness, what a time to make a move. Straight into a straight flush. Unbelievable. Right, Super Grand. Time running out here. When would we make the move? Let's play when do we make the move. Pick our moment. Don't look at the other players' hands for your judging. Pretend you can't see them. Just look, tell me from the position and your cards when you would make the move. That's what we're going to do. Ask yourself that when you're watching this. This is how we're going to learn. Oops, and well, that's given Super Grand a little bit more space there because the table now has become a full table again. Well, I'll tell you what, I would push now. Yes, well done, Super Grand. I think you picked the right time. We can see there's aces behind you. You're just so unlucky, but I agree with you there. The time was right. You pushed with Jack 10. Unlucky. You've just walked into the bullets and unfortunately you're dead. But you did pick the right time as far as I was concerned. You didn't want to get round to another blind. You had the 5 rounds left. You made the right move. Unlucky you walked into bullets. Listen, if you'd had a pair of kings, it would have been just the same. So, well done at the end there. I think you missed a couple of opportunities before that, however, but still, well done at the end. So, well done, Super Grand. Tansku, oh, very nice. Got 2 pair, aces and deuces. Flip with a Jack 6, no connection at all. Tansku's bet, and of course Flip has to surrender. Well, Clay decides not to make a play there, late position, and on the button, we've had the button move. He's got an ace, decides to whack it in, done 4 times the big blind. Didn't want to get any opposition there. And was successful in capturing those blinds. Quite significant, 750. Right, what's the button going to do here? Nope. Pass, pass. It's a walk for Tansku. Gets the chips for a present. $150. Just limps there. We haven't seen a limp for a while. Limps with Queen Jack. And look at that. Click top pair. And just a complete move here from 24 Ginger with 9-3 off suit. But 150 doesn't believe it at all. And does the re-raise 3 times the initial bet. 24 Ginger made the move, bet 1,000. 150 with the top pair, said, well, let me know where I am now. I want to know if I'm up against a better kicker or better hand. He re-raised, asked a question, took down the chips, fine. And I think that was good play. He didn't want to be feeling around in the dark here in this tournament. He just wanted to know where he was. At that time, he was quite happy just to take that down. In fact, we could see he'd just been donated 1,000 from 24 Ginger. And 24 Ginger trying to use his chips there, thinking he can sort of run riot with the table. We've always got to be careful there. You mustn't just start overplaying any hand, because that can be, you can suddenly find that your big stack diminishes just a bit too quickly. Proper hand for 150 there, ace king suited, big slick suited, very nice, looks pretty, but often a problem hand in a tournament. A hand which I generally want to be an aggressor with, a better with, or a raiser with, far more than I want to be a caller with. However, of course, when the play gets fast, when the time's running out, of course, then it becomes a big calling hand as well. Why? Because people will be making bets with far lesser hands. In that case, you will have the good chance that you've got them dominated, your ace-king against their ace-queen, or jack, or 10. But in earlier stages of the tournament, when people can be more selective, calling with an ace-king then is far worse, because you could be more likely to be against pairs, etc., etc. 14 runners now. Well, this field is diminishing fast. And Tansku does a JB play with the Queen-King. And has ended up with position. What's he going to do against the raise? He has got position, so he decides to have a look. And can now put it... Oh, my goodness, it calls... Well, that was an amazing call by Tansku. Really strange. Well, he got lucky with it. Called with the Queen-King, hit the King. I couldn't have called myself, I'm afraid. So I'd have definitely lost that one. Anyway, Ace-King, he's got the right amount of money there. Not to be too cute, he just passes it in. He puts it all in. Ace-King there plays well like that. It goes well, seeing all 5 cards. He's the aggressor. He doesn't mind taking the 750. Increases his stack there by about 10%, which is good. If he has to play it, he thinks it'll play okay. Tansku, small blind, Queen 6. Doesn't connect. He checks. 24 Ginger. Big stack at this table. I think probably still chip leader of the tournament. Bets 3,000 and takes that one down. Well, he's definitely wanting to use his chips. He does want to be an aggressor here. Will the table realise this? Will they start pushing him off hands if they think he's making too many moves? Well, we might see a move again from him, but this time he's got opposition because Stantas there has got the pair of nines, and we have seen the move. Ace-6, he's made it 2,000. What is Stantas going to do? No question. He says, you've been in too many pots, mate. I don't believe you. Re-raise, all in. Took down the money. Well-read Stantas. You'd been watching the situation. You'd seen 24 Ginger in action a lot of times. You thought, you were just trying it on, mate. I don't believe it. Take that. Who, of course, are making their comeback tour. Take that. Okie doke, it's Tansku, Queen 9, Quinine, as it's sometimes called. 24 Ginger. Are we going to see another one? Yep, we do. 1,500. What does Clay think? Is he going to do the same? Yes, he's done the same. 24 Ginger. He's losing. As I said, it's like it's just falling into place. Is he going to lose respect at the table? Well, he certainly has. And they are attacking him, re-raising him each time now. You're not going to run over us, mate. We're going to fight back. Well, this is interesting to watch here. Flip. Limps with the pair of 8s. Small blind. Clay with Ace 4, passes. Oh, and it's a king on the flop. 150 likes that. And he checks, left the door open. Aha, and he put his foot in. And here we go, there's the re-raise. But he called the re-raise, my goodness. 150, checks again. Flip, bets again. How does 150 feel here? He believes he's winning wholeheartedly. And he puts all his stack in. And Flip really has to put this down. This is so unlikely to be a bluff. Not the second check two check re-raises in a row. My God, 2 check raises in a row. Incredible. Well, 150 read the situation perfectly there. 24. He's actually found a real hand. He's saying, go on, fight back now. I'll fight you back. That's what he's thinking. Go on, re-raise me, re-raise me. You've all done it. Go on. I'm sorry, he's not going to. Unlucky 24. You found a real hand and they wouldn't re-raise you. Never mind. Be patient. And he's passed a hand. 150. Flip. Raised to 3,600. Takes down the blinds. The blinds are 1,200 around. That's 400 and 800. So, everyone at the table has still got a bit of play. Wow, and it's the big bet from the sixes. How on earth will the nines feel? Well, I think he's got a call. He hasn't got enough chips to do anything else. Oh, and very unlucky on the flop. Ping, straight. Oh, look at that. And on the river, a 9. So his trip 6s on the flop and trip 9s on the river and 4 spades out there, but no spade in sight. So trip 9s beats trip 6s. A triple 6-9. The mind boggles. Just a flat call from Clay there. Pair of 7s. And he is 24. He's got a real hand again. Ace Queen. Well, we know he's going to attack. He does. Now what's Clay going to do? This is a decision. Does he think he can get him off the hand? That's what he's thinking. Oh, he's tried. Well, he hasn't gone the whole hog. And I didn't like that, Clay. If you were going to make the move, I think you had to ask the full question. Because you left Ginger with enough chips that he could play with if he was wrong. And now you've left yourself a very difficult situation here. There are 3 overcards and you got away from it. I think you could have actually, if you were going to make the play at all, rather than just decimate, I think you should have asked the full question and had a bit of fold equity in your play. You would have been favourite in the hand. We could see that you'd have would have gone behind. You maybe have hit a 7 on the turn or river, but I would have gone the full way. If I make the play there, I'd definitely go the full all-in from Clay there. If I'm going to make the move, 2 reasons. 1, increases my fold equity, because it would be uncomfortable then for 24 Ginger, even with his chips at that stage, to lose such a big stack. It would be a much bigger question you're asking him. He's only got Ace Queen at the end of the day, and he wouldn't enjoy it. 2, you would now be taking any playing decisions away from yourself, because the problem with having a pair like a pair of 7s is that they're too likely to be overcards on the flop, and you don't know where you are. So therefore you take those playing decisions away, and who knows, you might be one of these guys who can hit a 7 on the river and win that way. Whereas if you'd been playing the hand, you couldn't call the bet, which was in fact what happened. There was an ace out there. He presumed the 24 Gingers had an ace. As it happens, he did have an ace, but even if he didn't have an ace and he'd bet, Clay would have still passed. So that's why, if he'd done the move, I'd have pressed the all-in button that time if I was going to play the hand. Well, he's now... Oh, and I think he's missed an opportunity there. He's getting short on chips. It's 1,200 a round. He's avoided disaster, however, as we see he hit a king there. But who knows? The flapping of a butterfly wing, it could have been a different flop by the time he'd called. Whoa, and he likes that flop. He's raised it up with a pair of threes and he's connected. And what's better is his opponent's connected as well. He's made life easy. He's bet with the queen. He doesn't want to see a club. However, his opponent hasn't got one anyway. And trip threes beats a pair of queens comfortably. And no club in sight. No flush around. And Clay, much healthier position again. In fact, gone third in chips at the table. How many? Yeah. How many? How many? Right, we've got 12 players left, Dick. Now, perhaps we can have a look at the other multi-table. Let's see who's on there. And there we go, through the matrix. Will we find it? Yes, and there it is. I'm a fish with Jack-8 suited. Ah, Miss Votavova. Making jam, he's up there in the leaderboard. So he'll be pleased with this. Yeah, in fact, this will be good for making jam. But he hasn't got many chips, unfortunately. So you better make chips as well as your jam, mate, if you're going to have a chance. I'm a fish just tamely surrenders there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right, I'll tell you what, let's have a little look to see if we've got any emails here. Right, we've got an email here, and it's from Jeff Norris, aka GAN241. Hi, Mark and James. Mark, if you fancy a heads up tonight, as discussed when you played the other night, reply to email and say when and which table. Oh my goodness, a challenge. If I don't hear from you, I will assume not. Great show as usual. Keep it up, both of you. Cheers. Okay, well, Mark's busy at the moment, mate, but I'll tell him about your challenge. I'm sure he'll be hungry to take you on. Let's see what else we've got. We've got another one here from Andrew Best. Oh, I got a lengthy email here. Let's see what this one is about. Dear James and Mark, great show as always. I'd like your opinion on a hand I played today in a home game. There were 5 of us there playing 10-20p blinds, but a limit structure where the maximum raise is £1. I was on the big blind. The player in seat 1 raised to 3 times the big blind, and there were 3 callers with 3-5 of clubs. I was ready to muck, but then saw my odds from the pot, and going on Gus Hanson's strategy of calling with low cards when everyone else has high cards, I called. The flop came with clubs, queen high. Hooray! I flopped the flush. The small blind raised £1. I think you mean better pound, probably. And I re-raised £1 with both other players calling. Naturally, I was worried about the ace of clubs or any above a 5, so I didn't want to see any more clubs. On the flop in this situation, how confident can I be that my hand is the best hand? I know the odds of flopping a flush are 118 to 1, so for 2 people it must be highly unlikely. I assumed 2 pair for 1 player, maybe a set, and the nut flush draw for the other 2. I continued on betting the maximum, but did my entire stack to a king-high flush. Oh well. Any comments on my play? Much appreciated. Right, your comments are pretty good. Yes, obviously if you flop a flush, it's highly unlikely that somebody else has flopped a flush because it becomes mathematically harder for this to happen. However, it's an awkward situation here because you're playing in a game here where you've got a capped bet, where you're only allowed to bet a limit of a certain amount. So therefore, if you'd been in a regular game or in a no-limit game, it would be a good time here when you've got a lot of opponents to really ask a big question on the flop and really charge them if they're trying to hit that flush there, especially with a lot of opponents, because you've got such a slow flush, a low flush, a slow flush. It was a low, slow flush. You had such a low flush that any club you didn't like. So therefore, you'd have to ask a big, big question. Now, if they still liked it, you've now got to discern why they liked it. If there's no club on the next card, it depends again how many people are there. In this situation here, someone kept on going along, calling. You kept on betting. In the end, when you could have actually checked and called at the end there, rather than leaving yourself open to be raised, I think, once you thought they liked it for no reason, because by then maybe you start to think maybe he has got a flush as well. It's difficult for you though because of this capping of the betting. So I think you basically were just unlucky. It was probably hard to stop losing money there. It was actually a train crash. But in a regular game, you could have asked a bigger question. You'd have found out quickly where you were. Anyway, thanks for that email. Well written. Just a reminder, if any of you have any questions at all, please contact us, text us at 84222, and when you do this, put in the word poker and your question. So that's 84222, poker and your question. Or, of course, the old-fashioned way to poker@pokernightlive.co.uk, or strap your question favourite carrier pigeon and send it on its way. We'll be waiting for it, and we've got some rather nice selections of grain for it to reward it for getting the question. We look after pigeons here. In fact, I love pigeons in poker games too. Anyway, let's have a look at the cash game. Here we are, it's cash time. It's 25 cent, 50 cents. You can buy in for a maximum of $50 and a minimum of $5. We have a full table here. Lumas has gone missing. Oh dear. But we've still got Snap It, a little bit below his peak. The Hutch there seems to be progressing. And we've got a flop of 5, 8, ace. And we've got Mombasa, who's got the top pair. Snap It now has got an up and down straight, i.e. 8, 9, 10, jack. Mombasa's bet 140. Snap It's come along there, but no joy. And as we could see, that Mombasa actually had one of Snap It's outs. He had a 7 in his hand to make life more difficult. He's checked. Snap It does not fall for the trap, does not try and bluff it there. He was pretty sure that Mombasa had a made hand and just let it go. So a wise decision. Mombasa's evil plan did not succeed. He did not capture a bluff from Snap It. We've got Irid there sitting, Earled. I used to call him Irid, sorry, Earled with the ladies and the big blind, a nice place. And we've got Name Exists making a move on the button with a suited version of the Mark Banin. That is, of course, the 7-8. And it's a flop with a king on it. And a pair of 10s. Well, he's decided to find out where he is, bets 550. I think it's a good idea. Because if he... Oh, my goodness. A fearless play from Name Exists, and I think he's going to take it. He could take this down. Yes, he does. Wow.
7-8 never loses, James, I keep telling you.
Well, if you play it like that, it's fantastic. He really, very brave play there. Out and out bluff. And he just used the power of that scary flop. I think that was quite a hard bluff to take off there, because if he had the 10, would he re-raise there? I don't know. But maybe he was representing he had the king probably more than the 10 in a way. And we've got American Airlines, aces on the button. Oh, but what's aces run into? Yep, Tripperoonies. A nightmare. How's Hutch going to play it? There's $18.75 in the middle. We wait with anticipation. Hutch, what are you going to do? Are you checking? It's a rainbow flop. He does. Mombasa, the door open. He's got the overpair. There's a king. He says, I hope you've got a king, Hutch. He's desperate for him to have a king. Oh, thinking, what shall I do? What shall I do? Okay, I'll just bet this much. How much is it going to be? There we go. All the deliberation there. Making it look like he's stealing. You'll be all right, mate. 10 he bets. The Hutch says, I'll give you the treatment as well. Are you going to be brave enough just to call, Hutch? No, you're not. But however, it is the overpair there, so you're probably going to get a customer anyway. I think Mombasa, if he calls, will go all in. Which he does do. As predicted here on Poker Night Live. And of course the Hutch, no need to deliberate now, Hutch, put him out of his misery, just call for goodness sake. Oh dear. It's like a slow roll, that one. There we go, trip 10s, captures all of Mombasa's chips. A nightmare flop for Mombasa. The sort of flop a pair of aces loves to see. That is a flop with a king on it. So you can dream that your opponent has got the king. But unfortunately, he had the trip 10s. There's Hutch under the gun, 2-3 suited. Oh, Mombasa's back. We see he's put 50 there. He's reloaded. Reloaded to the maximum. And I think it's a good idea to sit down with the maximum at these tables. Give yourself as many weapons as you can. By that I'm referring to be able to push people off hands as well as to win them on merit. We've already seen a great play like that earlier from Name Exists. Listen, guys and gals, as we are watching this, please do send in loads of your emails. I really would like to have your comments and questions. We'd like to hear from you. We love to be interactive here on Poker Night Live. It's what makes this show, I think, a special show, because we have such good communication with our viewers. We love it. Aces. He loves aces. Well, his work's done. He doesn't have to think how to get the money in. It's been done for him. And it's aces against ace-2 suited. How sweet life is. There we go. No surprise. The aces stands up. And for those of you who are wondering, aces against ace-2 suited. The aces is 87% favourite there. And it would tie 1.3% of the time. That's, of course, probably when they're going to be making straights. Oh, occasionally a whole board will be a flush of a different suit. It's amazing when we think about it, isn't it? Because when you've got like a pair of aces against ace-2 suited, you know, you obviously feel great and you really feel really powerful. Oh, look, got a flush draw here for the Hutch. Break this little comment with a flush draw. The pair of fours is checked. The flush draw has bet just over the pot size, and fours doesn't know where he is. He doesn't like the flush draw. He doesn't like the queen. He doesn't like the jack. He doesn't like his pair of fours much and chucks it away. Yes, when we've got that hand, aces against ace-2 suited, we think, wow, you know, you just feel so invincible. But, you know, you are going to lose that more, slightly more, I must admit, but slightly more than 1 time out of 10 you will lose that matchup. That is the reality of the situation. The ace-2 suited will win against a pair of aces slightly more than 1 time out of 10. It's incredible, but true. Johnzel. Calls with the mother of all hands. The Mark Banin special. It's the real version, the offsuit version. Under the gun as well. The braver you are with 7-8, the better, apparently. And of course the 7-8 makes a bet. He's got an up and down straight, and it's a semi-bluff. He thinks he's probably losing, but if he connects, he'd be winning. A classic no limit semi-bluff. A limp from the 7-8. And 5-6 on the button, raises. 5-6 suited, 5 and 6 of clubs. Called by Jack Queen, yucky hand. 7-8 connected, we've all got a bit of this. Well, not quite the Hutch. We've got a flush draw and a pair for Earls, very powerful. Yes, he bets it. Bets 5 into a pot of 675 and gets them both to put it down. He even beats 7-8. How is it possible? Earls, Jack Queen, late position. No, he doesn't do anything. Just as well, there's an ace-king suited lurking behind him. Snuggy bug. What you gonna do? He bets it 2. Johnzel calls, ace-10 suited. 5-5-3, no connection. Johnzel to speak first. What's your decision? Check, he says. Snuggy bug, ace-king. He's got a flush draw. He hopes he's got 2 overcards. He's in fact even in better shape than he thinks because he's got his opponent dominated. He has the ace-king against the ace-10. So they match the aces and he dominates him with his kicker. So dominating with a flush draw, pretty sweet. Doesn't get much sweeter than that. Because it takes away one of his opponent's outs of his kicker, because that kicker would make him his flush. Well, there's been a raise, and the king-queen just calls a raise. It's a raised pot. Not the sort of pot where king-queen rules at all. But is Pastibab going to try and make it rule and bet? Yes, he does. What does the ace-queen think? Very difficult for the ace-queen. Oh my goodness, what are we seeing here? It's a re-raise from the ace-queen. Wow. Imaginative poker there. So we had a bluff bet and a bluff re-raise. Unbelievable. It's all happening here on Poker Night Live. Fantastic. No limit hold'em. Moving and a grooving. It's not just Loomas tonight. They're all having a go. Pasty, Johnsill. Right, Johnsill there's got top pair. Actually, one of the guys in the game where Mark is,
Red actor.
Red
Actor.
Red actor there. He just asked if his ace-2 suited against, when he ended up against the aces, was okay to make the move because he was short stacked against the big blind. I can't quite remember exactly how many chips you had, but if you really were short stacked, I think that's fine. You're just unlucky. It's just similar to the situation we said before when I thought Super Grand there made the move, I think, with the 10 Jack, and I thought it was a correct play according to Super Grand's chip situation. We saw that it ran into aces. That's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. That's just the luck of the draw. So if you were short stacked, I apologise, I can't remember exactly what your chip situation was. I'm sure that was fine. Okay, oh, we've just got aces there against... Let's have a look what's happening here. Name Exists has got the aces on the small blind. Let's see if there's going to be any opposition here. The Hutch has got 8 king. He's been doing quite a few moves tonight. He's done another one. And Venom, everyone wants to do a move here. Jack 8 is re-raised. Goodness. Name Exists has got saliva drooling down his jaws. He can't believe his luck. So he's done a fresh re-raise, but it's hard for Venom to call. And he doesn't, and Name Exists gets some money for nothing. Wow. Do you think they've been having a few bevies on bank holiday or something? Everyone wants to make a move. It's unbelievable. Think that could be the case, Mark?
It could be, James. Could be.
Anyway, let's have a look. We've got an email here. We've got an email from Steve Lansdowne in Liverpool. You all right, Steve? Just like to say... Hi, guys. Just a quick line to say thanks for the great show. I've only been playing just over a month. I was not doing too well in tournaments, so switched to cash games for a while with mixed results. Then I went on a long losing streak. Uh-oh. So I switched the computer off for a week and just watched your show with the odd play money game as well. This weekend, I tried entering a $1 sit and go just to see how I got on. My results since 9:30 Sunday night have been second, second, first, second, second, first, third. Last 3 being the money places. I'm aware of that. That's amazing. So once again, thanks for the show. Steve, that's music to our ears. And I'll tell you what, full marks. You'd been having a bad run. You didn't just keep on banging your head against the wall. You took a break. You said, right, I'm going to watch. I'm going to learn. I'll have a little go on the play money just so I can keep my little hand into what's to do. Fantastic. Full marks, and I think a great example to everyone else. So thanks for that email, Steve, and keep on watching the show, keep on learning, and keep us informed how you progress. Okay, so I've got another phone call now, so let's see if we can speak to Mike, and we'll just go there. Hi, and welcome back, Mike.
Hi, James.
Good. Funny enough, we were talking before about you were just going to make your way across to Blackpool there, and I think you were going by Ryanair. It's actually, why we're mentioning that, it's just interesting, you know, how people are travelling around to get to these festivals and where they stay, etc. It's all part of the game of poker. You know, your exes, how much things cost, etc. Funny enough, I just used Ryanair myself recently. I was, as you mentioned before, I've just come back from Slovenia. So
and how did you get on over there, James?
Yeah, it was okay. It was. I thought it was going to be a really good time. I came 5th in the first tournament, and there was 120 runners. But when I got down to the last 5, I was in 2nd position, and I only had 2 rounds of play, which is crazy. The blinds were 15,000, 30,000, and a running ante of 3,000.
It doesn't sound like they left much play in that one.
No, well, it means every round there cost you 60,000.
So basically, as soon as you see a high card, you're pushing and shoving, and the cards that dictate the winner, really. And
funny enough, I was lucky because I found myself a pair of jacks, and so no other play, just push all in. I pushed all in, and the guy called me with ace-queen. And I think he virtually had to call anyway because his time was running out just as mine was.
Yeah, certainly. You couldn't fold in that situation, either of you. So I take it he hit an ace or a queen?
Oh, he hit a queen very easily, very quickly. I can't say it was painless. It hurt quite a bit.
But you made a profitable trip if you had 2 final tables?
No, I think I was just a little bit behind on the trip, to tell the truth, because there was quite a few other events. I even got close in the last event and a few other events, but again ran into the trouble with the too fast a structure.
Yeah, you tend to get that a lot in one-day events. They're always going to come to that sort of point in the tournament where there is no other move to be made. It's the same thing happens online quite often in the tournaments there as well, because they're so quick and there's so many people in them, there's no room for any play. I think it's a great idea to have 2-day tournaments. Even at a festival, because you're only bringing 9 players back, and you could bring them back early enough that the final table could be finished before the start of the next tournament if they want to play the next tournament.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, there's no problem bringing people back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to play for 3 or 4 hours to finish the final table off, to give the winner as the person with the most skill rather than just who gets the best cards in the last part of the tournament.
Yes, well, I've been involved, or I've been an advisor to certain tournaments where, when they've gone back to the second day, they've sometimes managed to put it back a level just to ensure that there's more play.
I don't mind that as long as it's advertised up front. I run a lot of tournaments myself over here, and I'm a big advocate of having a lot of play for the players where possible. I mean, most of these are one-day tournaments. There's no way around it. But what I don't like is if something is changed suddenly during a tournament, because you have the people who have been playing to the structure and may have made a decision and gone out just before they decided to change the structure. It's good the way that even if it's worded that it may go back within the structure that's given out at the beginning, the clock may go back. That's probably the best way to do it, is to say up front that it may do. Because otherwise I think it's unfair on some players who acted before a decision was made to change the clock.
Yes. In the tournament where I advised for the Newcastle Festival, they've had 2 festivals there, and the main events were both really successful. And what we did there was we told the players that at the management's discretion, they would be hoping to give an extra level if they could.
Yeah, well, that's the way to go. As long as people know up front what's happening, then that's definitely the way to go. And anything that gives more play is definitely applaudable in my case anyway. In
fact, even on their daily tournaments, what they do there is, when they got to the final, we had a spell there of bringing down the levels so that the average chips had 15 big blinds, and that worked quite well as well.
Yeah, that happens quite a lot in the tournaments in the casinos over here where they're not pushed for time. Yeah. Some of the tournaments I run, we have to be finished because we have to be out of a venue by a certain time. But
Mike, I don't want to be rude, but we've got to say goodbye, and I'll speak to you again just a little bit later on in the night.
No problem, James. I'll speak to you then.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mike. Hi, and welcome back to Poker Night Live. I'm James Browning, and this is, of course, Mark Banin. And we're pleased to have you back with us for the second half of the show. And during this half of the show, I'm going to be showing you Mark's efforts in Beat the Presenter. So that'll be good to watch. And we want to have more emails from you, more texts. So how to do it, and this is it. Text us at 84222, put in the word poker, and question, or email us at poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And please text us, please email us. We love to hear from you. We like your comments, we like your questions, we like your jokes, we like everything. Be in touch. Okay, no more delay.
No more delay, let's go to it.
The time is nigh. Beat the presenter time with Mark Banin. Let's go and have a look.
Mark Banin.
Now tonight, Matthew, Mark Banin will be Barry Bully. You can see the smoke appearing there. Mark Banin appearing through the smoke, disguised as Barry Bully. And there he is. He's got ace-8 suited, so Mark decides to limp in. And notice we've got, this is a different structure, this tournament here. We've got 2,000 starting chips. That's a bit better. And the blinds go up every 12 hands rather than every 10 hands. Oh, it's a bit better structure, this.
Yeah, it's a lot better, yeah. A lot better.
Certainly one I would prefer to the other ones, so, because they're tough, the other ones. They're just too fast, generally.
They are a little bit too fast. Yeah, this one gives you a reasonable amount of play. I made one or two things where, well, this is one of them, actually, where I lose a few chips.
Okay, so Mark's bet there 50, and he's been a flat raise by Farce.
Yeah,
Bandit.
I actually try and slow him down by minimum raising him here. Her. Sorry, I try and minimum raise just to slow her down for the next. I don't want to start paying more on the river, so I figured that might do it.
Oh. So she didn't re-raise you, but now what do? You don't like the diamond, I presume?
No, I just check it and hope.
And you check it, okay?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's okay. I think it worked.
Yeah, pretty much. I got I lost the minimum. Yeah, I felt that I was probably behind, but just in case I wasn't. It's
interesting with the diamond coming there. It's with your play there, of course, one would have to think you had the diamond.
Yeah, possibly. The only thing is, because of my reputation, I'm not sure whether
that's it.
They will believe me for it, or just think I'm making another move.
So what Mark says there, they might well be thinking that he is making a move, so therefore he can't just sort of try and steal willy-nilly.
My fold equity is not as good as yours, James.
No. Okay, Skitsy makes it 80 with nothing. Big Ad is called with nothing. Very strange tonight.
Well, he's looking for an inside straight draw, isn't he? He's looking for that queen to miraculously appear.
It's hard to call.
It is, yeah. Well, that's one of the things that this extra chips allows you to do. It does allow you to make these loosey-goosey calls in the hope of hitting a miracle, and he has. He's just hit it.
Goodness me. I mean...
And Skitsy can't do anything now.
Well, I really think it was very difficult calls indeed. On the turn, for goodness sake.
No, I would have given it up on the turn. Maybe one little tiny bet on the flop, but...
Yeah, I mean, I could be, I'm more in tune with the guy betting with nothing than calling with those, although he made the hand.
Yeah.
And I really just think in the long run, I think that's going to be unprofitable play. That's for sure. We saw that it worked there, but that means nothing. That's a trial of one. And I think that looks a bit dodgy to me. Only if you think you're calling, you can then try and bluff the guy off it, possibly. Well, then it becomes probably slightly different. But if you're not going to do that and just going to try and hit your hand, it's definitely a losing strategy. You're just not getting the odds. You're not getting the reward for the risk. Barry Bully there. On the big blind with KT. King 10. And I've got an up and down straight for Mark.
But I don't have a club in my hand, so I give this up to any bet.
But there's 3 clubs out there.
And we can see
he doesn't think anyone's got a flush, but he thinks they might have a club. But as it happens, we can see someone has got a flush, and it's Big Ad, who's gone from hitting a straight to flopping a flush.
Yeah. This is important I think for our newer viewers, James, that I could have called with my up and down straight draw, as some people might have done. The only problem is it means that I'm now not wanting to see a king of clubs or a 10 of clubs.
That's right. So what Mark's saying there was normally he'd have 8...
So an ace of clubs or a 9 of clubs, rather.
Where he'd normally have 8 outs, he would now only have 6 outs, because basically he doesn't want to see a club. So he has to negate 2 of the outs, and therefore it doesn't become a tempting proposition. And on top of that...
I could be drawing dead anyway.
You could be drawing dead. And on top of that... They could then hit the club on the last card after you've even hit your straight. You mightn't get rid of them, and then they kill you anyway.
Yeah.
So a lot of negatives there.
Yeah, you're not going to be that comfortable with it anyway.
And Mark's very correct not to get involved with that. Anyway, he's made up the small blind with 2-9.
Yeah, I lose a few chips in this particular pot. I make it up.
Oh, and there's no raise there.
No, and I figure that my 2 is probably good, so I do bet out with it.
Okay, and there's 40 in the pot, so we'll see what Mark does. He bets the pot, 40, and he gets raised. And calls it. Now what's Mark going to do now?
I think I put in a bet again, and then just check it on the river.
Bet 70. It's called. 340 in the middle.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether he's on a draw of some kind, or maybe he's trying to buy the card with his minimum raise. Certainly didn't figure in for an ace. Certainly not ace-queen anyway, so he played it quite well. But by the same token, you've got to ask yourself, do I really need to lose a couple of hundred chips with 2-9?
I think you lost more than you needed to in that one. I think, personally,
You fold to the re-raise?
I think I do. Have you tried your bit? You've done your little bit, and I just say I don't want to get involved in that one, because to me it's like keyhole surgery, and you don't need keyhole surgery at this stage. I don't think.
Yeah.
You know, those chips are better for you in another situation, I think.
Yeah, I probably could have got away from that one. I should have probably folded.
Early stage, it's unusual for you to do that, actually, because I see you in early stages often. You are prepared to put stuff down.
I don't usually call from a small blind with a
no,
hand
exactly.
like 9-2.
So to me, that's a little bit out of character for you there. And I think you've just tried to be a bit too smart in the first level.
Yeah, probably.
Especially because you got a bit more play in this one. I don't know. I think you want to keep those chips. You could do your own move where you knew better where you were. You know, you've been out of position with the bottom pair is not too comfortable.
The mistake there, I think, was just calling pre-flop. I shouldn't have just even bothered limping in with it. 2-9, just a waste of time. It's a nonsense hand. It doesn't make anything. Apart from, like you saw there, bottom pair or worse.
You actually want to hit 2 pair or trips or something with it, don't you, really? To know where you are.
Can't disagree with you on that one. It was just a bit of a waste of chips on that one.
Yeah, but the only thing is, we didn't do too much, so that's fair enough. Now you've got a pair here, pair of 7s. Now we've got a limp in from DVN, but you know in these early stages people do limp in with slightly better hands than normal, as you do sometimes.
Yeah, I'm...
but you're in position, so you decide to ask the question.
Yeah, I want to ask the question. I want to see where I stand with this hand.
And it works well, and I'll tell you what, it's better value for the 7s to get those chips there than probably to play on, because without hitting the 7, you won't know. You probably won't like the flop.
Plus I'm up against at least 2, if not 3 players.
Yeah, so I think that's worked well. And you were happy just to pop a few more chips on your stack there again, because...
Yeah, I certainly want to take the lead in the betting in that situation anyway, and have positions.
Yep.
Not much of a semblance of hands here. 3, 5, 4, 5, and the pair of 4s is winning at the moment.
Big ad. Middle pin straight draw, bets 20. Re-raised by Fast Bandit. Oh, and it's given 2 pairs to Fast Bandit. Big Ad's actually made a pair and his middle pin straight draw. I think he's probably going to stick in there now because of that. Oh, he doesn't. He doesn't. Oh, well, thank goodness.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been correct to. I think the game...
the bet was too big, wasn't it?
Yeah. But it did him a favour, got him away from it.
I fold my Doyle Brunson.
Big Ad makes up the small blind with his 5-jack. Mr. Perfect does the flat raise. Of course, the flat raise from the big blind is actually slightly stronger than normal. The reason is of course he's got position. So therefore, and he already knows he's only against one opponent. So therefore, where in the game normally raisers do several things. Oh, hang on, got to stop that commentary now to have a look at this. We've got Mark disguised as Barry Bully there with King Kong, and he puts in a bet of 50. 2.5 times the big blind. New price. Big ad on the button. He's only pretending he's going to pass. Mr. Perfect. Can't see him doing anything. And DVN. Well, tough to get a customer. Unlucky.
Yeah, no customers.
Good hand. Gave a callable sort of bet. Under the gun with 6-7 off suit. I would be passing.
And I will be passing too.
I'd imagine you're passing, yeah. Pair of threes there. Limps in. And as company, Balrog limps in with the 10 jack. Now, door open for Skitsy. Puts in a flat raise up to 40. Big ad, 7-5. Well, calls it. It's not that bad if he thinks there's no re-raise coming. 9-6, because he's actually got position. That's Big Ad's plus point. And Fast Bandit says, great, we've got a bit of company for my threes. If I connect, I could get paid. And look at that. Big Ad's got an up and down straight, 5, 6, 7, 8. No one's got the king. But Skitsy bets, and the up and down straight says, no, you might, I'm not sure what you've got. But I've got an up and down straight anyway. Oh, and there's another king.
So that's improved to threes, isn't it? A little.
Yes, the threes, if you decide to be there. I thought it was actually a straight, very difficult call for the threes again. I would not have been there.
The threes have just been nullified.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been there with the threes anyway. I thought it was a poor call by the threes. You can't play drawing to 2 outs. You haven't got enough chips. To be able to play a hand like that, you'd need monster chips, and your opponents have to have monster chips. I mean, it's just hard to imagine the situation. It's just sort of... and if you think you're winning, well, then raise them and get rid of them. And because you don't want to see any other card. You hate every card.
Yeah.
So if you think you're winning, bet it, and if you don't, get out. And that's it. You can't just call it. It's just a bad way of playing it. Big Ad's got the Cowboys, but there's an ace on the flop.
Yeah, he's just limped in with his Cowboys.
Oh, and he's hit trip kings. But the club comes. So there's a good side and a bad side. And oh no, and we can see it's a split pot. Because everyone's got a flush. Well, he's only bet 20, so he's... I don't like that bet of 20.
No, it's a bit too small, wasn't it?
Because I would actually be tempted to raise it.
Yeah. Maybe that's what he was hoping for. Maybe he was hoping that the other guy might have raised.
Well, but
then he's got 4 to a flush there, isn't it? So.
No, it's 5. It's a split pot.
Oh, you mean on the end?
Yeah, on the end.
Right,
there.
okay.
I don't like his bet of 20. He's just he might prod the guy into raising him.
Yeah.
And then he had to put it down.
Yeah. He tried to use it as a poor stop bet, didn't he? Which didn't work out.
To me, I think it just possibly prod the guy into action a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
No, you're right. Well, Skitsy's raised it up to 160. 4 times the big blind. I've got ace-5 on the button. Contemplated it, but thought it's an early position raise. I didn't really want to get involved with ace-5. Plus, I've got 2 people behind me.
I think that's fine. 8-10 jack. So 7s, and he's got a straight draw. 9, of course, would give him a straight.
Well, he can't like that 9 too much there, having the bottom end of that straight.
No, he wouldn't like it at all, because, of course, it would be vulnerable to someone having a queen.
And he's taken a chance, and it's worked out.
But in another way, of course, he doesn't like, he doesn't want to think someone's got an 8, a 10 or a jack and have a higher pair than him. So it's one of these sort of funny situations where, you sort of half want the 9, but then when you get it, you think, oh my goodness, it's. Oh, hang on, there's Mo. My goodness, Johan there. He's got a pair of kings.
Yeah, we've seen them a few times, haven't we, so far? 3 or 4 times we've seen the kings.
Unbelievable, yeah. There's a lot of them around. King Kong's Roman round.
Well, this is an interesting hand, James. You're going to see.
Okay, and it's Mark there as Barry Bully with a pair of 3s. And he makes it 3 times the big blind. He's in late-ish position. So fancies it'll be heads up at the worst. Well, he knows it's going to be heads up now. Oh, he knows that the worst is going to be heads up. It is, and it's well, it's a tough call for Jack 5.
Yeah, I don't know really what you're thinking there, but now I'm having a look to see if I'm ahead, so I'm going to put a little prop.
260. I'd be quite happy to see a bet of a. Oh, you've done a big bet.
I've bet the pot, just under the pot. Yeah.
Okay.
Big Ad actually calls me here.
Wow.
With his bottom pair.
Now
and,
it's
so that queen has arrived. So I'm now I'm thinking, well, if he's got a queen, there's no way he's betting 240.
Big Ad's now bet 240. So if you're going to come over the top, you've got 1,060. So it's a re-raise of 1,060. Big play from Mark here. Whoo! Deep breath.
Yeah, it was. It was a deep breath.
And
I pick up another pocket pair.
That was a brave play, Mark. Very
brave.
Was
brave.
Very brave.
Well, I tried to represent the queen.
Yeah.
You know, I could have raised pre-flop with ace queen, something like that.
I mean, it's hard to believe that your opponent can only have a Jack 5.
I know.
That's why I'm saying it's a brave play, because I can't imagine. You know, I'd never be putting him on such a bad hand.
This is a bit of a killer for me, because I think that's a pretty good flop for me with a pair of 5s, Jack 9-9. I can't imagine he's got any part of that. He might have a Jack. There's a small chance he's called me with ace Jack or 10 Jack or Queen Jack possibly. So I've made, I thought I'd check and possibly check raise depending on, see that as a weakish type of bet, so I've decided to re-raise him. I've made it 3 times his bet. And he's elected to call. He's now got an up and down straight draw.
Yeah, he doesn't mind that 8.
No.
It's below it's below his 10, and it also gives him the up and down straight as a get out, maybe.
So I thought the play was right. I think a lot of people would have folded those pair of 10s, thinking that I've either got a 9 or a Jack. So a strong play with a Jack with those 5s.
Oh, he knows he's winning now.
I think he's just tried to buy the card cheaply, in case he hits a queen or a 7 on the end there.
Well, he didn't have to bet to buy it. He was going to get.
No. I mean, sorry. What I meant by sorry, not to buy it.
He was going to get the card for nothing.
Yeah. No, what I meant was, in other words, I think he tried to stop me betting on the river. If he didn't hit, I think that was his plan. Looking at it now.
Well, if that's the case, it's a strange play, because to bet small and to jeopardise your chance of if you think you need the draw.
Just see what happens here.
Okay, it's a raise from ace Jack.
Yeah, I've raised from early position. There's one.
You've come up against a real hand. It was a pair of 9s, but you've clicked the ace, which is good.
Yeah. The reason I raised
300 in the middle.
Yeah, the ace Jack there was either a fold or a raise. It wasn't a call for me, just in case he was up against a bigger hand, just in case he was limping with aces or something.
Well, of course, you'd lost a few chips again now, so you were looking to sort of try and get some chips back as well.
Yeah.
Was spurred you on, because you're still below your starting stack. So you were looking to try and to recuperate a bit, probably. Yes, that one before where you said about the stopping bet. Oh,
it's like you said, I need to recuperate some chips, James.
Right, and it's a very chirpy play for Mark here. 3 times the big blind, under the gun with 8-5 suited. Now that is imaginative.
Like you said, I wanted to accumulate some of my chips back.
when
I
you did?
didn't want to limp in with 8-5. And I noticed the table has been semi-passive pre-flop. They've been relatively passive pre-flop. Not so passive post-flop, but passive pre-flop. That's another thing for viewers to remember, that just because certain players are passive pre-flop doesn't necessarily mean they'll be passive post-flop, and vice versa, of course. But that's how I saw the table. Passive pre-flop, not so passive post-flop.
Okay, which in these early stages of the tournament is not so unusual because people feel that they've got time to be selective pre-flop.
Yeah, that's true.
The only problem is of course you can walk into hands, which of course you did do, but you walked into a pair of nines, but you've connected, which is obviously you had to do other there because Johan otherwise would have.
Well, he's got an overcard plus an inside straight draw, Big Ad.
Ooh. I mean, Big Ad does some strange calls, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the Jack-5 was a bit of a strange call.
And the other one before.
I wasn't in stealing position there.
When he called with the ace-queen twice, I know he had made the straight, but it was very strange calling.
Yeah.
Very strange. So he's a big caller, Big Ad.
Yeah, we see a limper here, if I remember, I think from DV. Or was it Johan? That was Johan. He limps in with his king-8, and I've decided that if I think my ace-4 is probably good, so I think I've raised it up here.
So there's 100 in the pot, and you've raised it 130. I made up your 20 and raised 130. And you sensed it was weakness. You were right, and you captured the chips. The best way to capture those chips, you were out of position, so good time to take it down.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the other part of my thinking.
Because you don't want to play that. Out of position now, you're in trouble. Because hit your ace, you now might be worried because he could well have limped with something like ace-6 or something and have your kicker dominated. Or, yeah, that's the sort of hand he could limp with in late position, Johan.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
So you read the situation as being weak, and you attacked it, and that was good play. I like that play a lot. I like that one a lot.
Well, Fast is in a little bit of trouble here. He's hit top pair with a not so bad kicker, but as we can see, Big Ad has hit that 3 6s, and he's looking pretty good now because he's also got one of the outs for DVN to hit his 9. And Fast can't hit a card now, can he? Oh, yes, he can. He can hit a jack, of course, to make him a better full house.
Being raised, got all the money in there against the one opponent. No help on the river. Wasn't needed for the trip 6s. Big Ad has gone up to 2,700. So you're a little bit behind here, but hardly.
I'm about to get some chips here.
But
think if I
you're well in the
correctly.
game, no problem. We've still got 8 players. The average is 2,000. You've got 1,960.
Yeah.
So you've had quite a bit of action and no damage.
Yeah, I think I'll make it 100 here.
You make exactly
Little steal.
100. In the cutoff with 3-5. Balrog says no thanks. And Skitsy surrenders as well.
I think I give this one up if I remember correctly. Yeah. So Fast takes it with a pair of 6s, the right play, I think, making it as in late position with those pairs. You want to raise it up, you don't want to limp in. Johan with a king 9. Starts to raise from early position. Well, he's walked into a big hand here though. Ace king on the big blind. So you better hope that Mr. Perfect doesn't call and hit that king on that flop. Otherwise, he'll certainly be in trouble. Wow, this is interesting, James. Look, he's got inside straight draw, flush draw
Oh, yeah.
as well. And just the inside straight draw and a couple of overcards for Mr. Perfect. And that's, he's played it the way you were suggesting that the other guy should have played it before. He's betting it.
Yes. Well, you have that multi-purpose hand there. You're in a strong situation. If you're against a pair, you're still in a strong situation. You just, it's a very powerful semi-bluff, basically.
What did you make of that? Johan under the gun, folding a pair of sevens. Is that the right play?
I don't mind it. I think what's happened now is, in fact, I think he's probably right, because we're now at the third level, and it's now become a situation where people now are raising more. Now, under the gun, he doesn't particularly want to be... He doesn't think he can limp in there and get all the way around with his pair of sevens, but he doesn't particularly want to be calling a raise with it. He's got more than starting chips. He would rather be the aggressor, I think, with position, rather than just trying to get in there in early position with the sevens. So actually, I agree with him, really.
We've got an interesting hand here. Ace-Jack for me on the big blind. I've got an in position raiser, and I decide to fold. I'm not quite sure. I don't want to re-raise, and I don't want to call.
Well, I think here, you quite rightly think there's a good chance that he's got a pair.
Yeah.
And you don't know which one it is.
Well,
you can't know which one it is.
No, I can't, and I don't know if he's got a pair of aces. I need to find out now. I don't want to find out.
But he could have a pair of jacks. It's no good for you, and he could have a pair of queens, pair of jacks, pair of nines, pair of tens. Obviously,
this is an interesting hand.
Under
James.
the gun, it's more likely they will have a pair than other situations.
So,
oh my goodness, there's been a raise there, and now
I pop him back.
He's raised just a flat raise, so you're thinking it's not so strong.
Yeah, and also it's been by an interesting player, create a sort
by
of creative...
Big Ad, who you've seen there now, being with a few funny hands. Okay, so I can see why you thought that.
This is a little bit of a danger flop for me. I'm a bit worried that maybe he's got sort of King Queen or something like that, so I'm not mad over.
Wow, and look at this, he's...
Yeah, I played this a little bit wrongly, actually. I should have just gone all in at this point, but I just flat call. And now he's zoomed ahead.
Oh. No. Now you go all in. Oh, wow-wee. Mr. Banin, how do you do that?
Well, you all need a little bit of luck sometimes, and that was certainly it for me.
Yeah, that was a biggie there. There was only one escape. And because, of course, hitting a third ace wouldn't win, because that would have given Big Ad a full house.
Yeah.
He had the trip kings. The jack was the way to get out of it, and he got it, the jack. Yes, I think you're right. I think you should have...
I played it wrongly.
I think you played it
definitely.
You played it weakly.
I played it too weak, yeah.
Which is unusual for you. If
It
anything, you sometimes go the other way sometimes. And that one, it's quite unusual for you, that one.
It is, yeah. I don't know why I did that, to be honest with you. I mean, I was thinking about it. I thought, why did I play it so weakly? And it was weak play. It was very weak play. Yeah, that was not good play by me, I admit that. I should have really just pushed in on the... When he's re-raised me on the flop,
yeah.
So you've got ace-king.
And you've... Thanks very much.
Or ace-10 and bad luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, of course, aces. But, yeah, that's really what I should have done.
Okay, Johan there. As I said, he would rather be making a bet from late position than calling with his pair of sevens early position. And he's found a position where he thinks, okay...
He's free-rolling, James.
He's free rolling. Mark means by that he's got a free roll for a flush. They've both got an ace and a 10, so it's either a split pot or a win for Harron. He's now got 20% going for him. 400, re-raise. Wow, what was that all about? And you've got to be very careful. If you're going to make moves, you've got to be very careful about making moves for the size of a bet, which people on the draw now become tempted to call with.
Yeah.
You've got to price them out the market. If you are trying the move there, you've got to price them out of it.
Mm. And that wasn't it, was it?
No, if you price them in it, now it's no good.
I did have a 9-7 suited here. Had Big Ad had a few more chips, I probably would have raised his blind, but I was afraid that there's a good chance he would call.
Anyway, Mark in good shape here now after he did have a fortunate jab, but never mind. He'd done some good plays before that anyway, and he's chip leader. Farce. Flat raise to 160. Big Ad's got a pair of fours, just calls. What's that about? If you're going to play that Big Ad, you've only got 490 left, you just re-raise and set yourself in, or you pass.
He's elected to do it that way, seeing that he's first to act. What do you think? Hoping that he's missed.
I think he should have actually, if he wanted to play, he should have gone all in, or he should have passed. I don't think this, he doesn't know where he is, he's just feeling around the dark.
Yeah.
I mean, he's now got 890. I mean, I think he either commits or finds a better place to commit.
Uh-huh.
I don't like that play he just did there. We saw he bet him out of it there. I mean, he's probably in the situation there where he probably would be quite happy to have doubled up his whole stack, because he's in a situation where, because he's now low on chips, he probably needs to take a bit of a risk, unfortunately, because that's the way life is.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be a favourite. He might get the person to pass, fine, no risk. He might have to have a shootout where he's probably a small favourite. That is probably better than having a new decision. Is he going to put it down afterwards? And if the other guy bets, what's he going to do? He doesn't know what to do. I just think he should have either an all or nothing decision before.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think so. I think you need a chip, so you need to double up. Just winning that extra.
Or win them there and then, fine. You don't mind that, but say, okay, I'm
Yeah.
there to the death. I might hit my 4 in the river. I
Yeah.
don't want to be bet out of it myself or not feel comfortable myself.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary he's going to push the guy off the hand even.
No, that's the thing. There's no
With the
guarantees.
best.
If you're sure that you can push him off, then that might help a little bit if you had a few more chips.
Yeah, but I don't think he had enough to play
No.
tricky with. If
No.
you have a few more, it's a different story. I think he's tried a tricky play with the wrong size of chips. And I think with
Yeah.
that size, it was all in or not at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Big Ad's picked up another nice hand here. Queens this time.
And I wouldn't play this tricky.
What, the queens?
No.
Just you push all in, you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, he hasn't two now. Now that he's...
No, and I hate that. Hate it. Don't like that at all. We can see there's two aces counterfeiting each other or whatever, but it's not necessarily going to be the case. Okay, he's ended up in the same situation, but, you know, there's three people there. People think you're desperate. You might well you'd be more likely to end up just heads up for the money, and that's what you want to do.
Well, 3-card straight for Skitsy. Picked up an 8, an ace or an 8 will do for him.
So what I don't like there is he's ended up with the situation I want to end up at, which is heads up with extra money in the pot. But he should have done something to help create that by saying all in and then creating heads up with that extra money in the pot.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to risk getting two opponents. He's quite happy with that heads up with extra money in the pot. And he should have been the instigator of it, not just happened by chance.
Look at this,
another
James.
big hand.
3s against aces against 10s.
Wow.
Well, the 3s are folded.
What did you have there, Mark? I didn't...
I had nothing.
Nothing
there.
there. Okay, and oopsie daisy, Balrog's in trouble. There it goes. It's aces against 10s. And aces stand up.
So, no one's knocked out yet, James? Oh, look at Barry's bully's got.
King Kong. My God. Fantastic.
What would you like to put here as a bet?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Your late position, you got one limper. A good chance you'll scatter out the blinds, and you can't do much against Balrog if he wants to come in.
Bet here. What would you bet here?
There's 11.40 in the middle. I bet certainly. Yeah, I was going to say certainly 600. That's
right.
what I was going to say. Weird, funny enough.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you want some play out of it, don't
Yeah,
you?
and if Big Ad wants to try his funny call with 6 outs for his 600, go on then. But you can't. He's big dog to hit. So. And then once you've got that, then you can push him out on the last card. Get rid of him and just capture those chips because it's probably enough.
So, still waiting for our first person out. Balrog's a little low here at the moment. Got Queen Jack, he's got a nice hand. Will he decide that's his move? And he probably will, and I don't blame him. No, he doesn't. Queen Jack suited decides to fold. I think that might have been a missed opportunity, Balrog. You've in fairly good position. I can see you're up against King Jack. But I think in terms of, in the long run, I think that would have been the right play. Okay, it wouldn't have worked out well on this occasion, but I think when you're down that low, Queen Jack suited, you need to make a move. And every time you wait another hand, you can have another person to fight through. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Blinds have now gone up, but it looks a bit late. Oh no, he's raised under the gun. Yes, Johan.
Mark under the gun with A3. We've still got a full complement of players here.
Yeah, no, I fold this.
So we're now up to this 81.60, and Mark's got in the comfort zone here that he's got chips, because each round now is costing 240. So therefore, a few of the players are really getting under pressure. Big Ad, Balrog, Mr. Perfect. Definitely getting under pressure. Johan, small blind with Jack 3.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit suspicious here with Big Ad for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm very suspicious as to what he might have. I think I have a feeling, I don't know why, but I have a feeling he's limped in with a big hand, and of course he has. He's limped in with a monster, but... So I was right, but unfortunately...
5, 6, 7, 8 he had. Mark, unbeknown to himself, was actually favourite.
Well, no, I was playing against 7-8. 7-8 doesn't lose. It has
Mathematically, Mark was favourite.
That's better, mathematically. But we're in a real world here.
But he wasn't to know it, and he quite correctly got away from it. So,
yeah, no, I was just suspicious of Big Ad limping in.
Pair of 8, he's made it 640 there, big chunky bet, and this is a bet where he's pretty sure he's winning, but he definitely only wants one opponent. He's got a pair.
He probably doesn't want any.
He doesn't mind the pass because he's got extra money.
Is that a good bet there? There's one limper. I think that's a good bet.
I think it's a good bet. He's quite happy to take down 400 chips.
400, that's right. For an 800 bet, for 640 bet, yeah.
Yeah, it's great value. He does. You're right. He wants them to pass. That's far better. If they got 2 overcards, it's a horrible situation. He's a very small favourite. Door open here. Button for Barry. Yeah, he didn't miss that one. Made it 400. I like the bet. Especially with the amount of chips that Mark's got there. I don't think people should continue. If you can't...
He's gone all in. Yeah, Balrog.
And Mark can afford to call this because you've got enough chips. Now, if you've got less chips, you can't afford to do Mark's play if you can't, because you can't, against a smaller stack there, you can't afford to be in there anymore. Or you're committed when you don't want to be committed with a poor hand. But Mark there had a chance to still not be pushed off the hand because he had enough chips to play with. So when you've got the bigger stack, your chips are actually individually not worth as much. So therefore, you don't have to be as selective with them. When you've got a low stack, you've really got to consider every move with your chips because it's probably these are life or death chips and you've got to really find your best spot for them if you can. When they get extra low, you haven't got time to find your best spot for them. You've got to just try and find your best situation and say, oh, I wonder if I can make them pass now. And that's a bit of added equity to my
Look at the hand, James.
7-8. Oh, don't say you're going to pass 7-8 after all the talk.
I know.
Yeah.
He raised early position. What can I do?
With Queen Jack. He's only got Queen Jack, Mark.
I know.
No, it's quite correct pass by Mark. He doesn't want to call a raise with that.
I wasn't thinking of calling him. I was thinking of re-raising him.
Oh, of course.
But he also got a lot of chips, so...
Ace Jack's just called there. He's got position, however. And it's a middle pin straight draw for Johan. One high card. Is he going to represent the king? He does. Puts in the bet. He's got the escape route of a 10. And it's worked well. And as I was mentioning earlier, if you are going to get a high card on a flop, you do want to see a king, queen, or jack rather than an ace. But it's more dangerous for Johan if there's an ace there because his opponent, he's not just because we can see one, but he's more likely could have been in there calling his raise with an ace. So if the ace had been there, Johan, I'm sure, would have been less likely to do the continuation bet because more likely he's hit his opponent. If it's the king, queen, or jack, as it goes down, is less likely the opponent's got it, and obviously the queen, jack in that case would have hit Johan, but generally in those situations, if you haven't connected yourself, you can then represent one of those cards and have more chance of getting away with it.
Big Ad is all in with his ace-jack against Mr. Perfect, who is going to raise here. And Johan contemplates the call before folding. Well, he would have made a straight, Johan. Had he have played? 8, 9, 10, jack, queen.
Okay, so there's Mark. Not too happy with his cards on the big blind, thinking could have done better with this than this. Don't bet, he's saying, but no, he couldn't hypnotise him, and Mark can't call with that one. It's horrible there, because you sense he's going to bet, don't you?
Yeah, you feel he's not got much of a hand and he's going to bet, but there's nothing you can do.
But you can't do anything. You can't do anything about it, because he's got rubbish. Can't defend with it. And he hasn't got enough chips that you can do anything else with it, so that's it.
He's just gone all in anyway, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes. No, I'm saying because if he got more chips, he wouldn't go all in. But
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just stuck. Anyway, 7 runners now. But look at this, we're up to 163.20. Still have 7 runners. Again, been very solid, hasn't it? Been very.
Yeah, it's been, as I said, it's been
pretty
fairly
tight.
passive pre-flop. Yeah.
And Fast Bandit makes it 800.
Yeah. So, another hand, interesting hand here, James. Ace Queen for me. I'll make it, I think I'm about another 1,000 roughly on
Yeah,
top.
you've seen a limper here. Now, Mark's got a good stack here, so he can use his muscle, and he does. And look at that, he's still got 3,000 left. So he's got more money left than anyone else has got. So that is the muscle that he's got. So that money is going in there. Is like a free crack at these chips. Okay, Big Ad, you can quite imagine being in there, but this is wonderful because now Mark will frighten out DVN, and he's got the extra money there. He gets the side money going in his favour, but unlucky. And the 3-4 rather takes it. So unlucky there, Mark. Good play by you. Used your chips well. You saw some extra money in the middle. You put in a really chunky bet. Small stack, felt more or less committed, and I think...
Yeah, he knew he had two live cards anyway.
I think not a bad decision by Big Ad. He saw the extra money, it suited him in the pot.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a good decision by Big Ad. And he was around about 35-36% chance there anyway, so...
Yeah, about 2 to 1, isn't it?
Slightly less than 2 to 1 again, so he says, okay. And that extra money there makes it seem sweet. Ah, fast Banin, big hand, pair of jacks. He's got position, no call there from Jack 2, I'm sure. Right, the blinds here. 7-8 off suit. If only
7-6.
Oh, 7-6, beg your pardon. My eyes are going dodgy. 7-6 off suit. Does the raise and is called by King 7. Was the all-in raise from the 7-6? Wow, this is some...
You feel it was on the still, Johan, and obviously...
Yeah, but does King 7, wow.
Yeah.
I think that's a tough call.
It is a tough call, yeah.
How much money was his bet, the all-in bet? Can you remember?
I think it was about 1,200 or something like that.
Tough call, I think. Very tough. Mind you, the blinds
But
are
he
quite
was already
chunky.
up for
yes, he was.
900.
Yes, that's right, yeah. Okay, well that's... We'll
just see this last hand.
Yeah, we'll look at this last hand. His Big Ad there. He just made it 640, and it's up to fast banded. Ace Queen 160. Well, I would think she's going to play. Does and re-raises quite correctly, hoping to squeeze Skitsy out. Squeezes Skitsy out. Big Ad obviously is going to call this in bad shape, dominated by the Ace Queen, and a Jack would be icing on the cake. It's not needed, and the Ace Queen takes it down. Well, good tourney so far.
Yeah, so far so good.
Mark, like it so far. We only think one little play, even both of us seeing it, you're not happy with, but the rest of it, you did some good plays.
Yeah, not bad so far.
You made a nice play towards the end there, which you're a bit unlucky because you could have got a nice extra chips there, really marched on when you got Big Ad hit the 4 or the 3.
Yeah,
he hit the 4, didn't he? Yeah.
That's right, he hit the 4, so that would have made a nice difference.
So that was great. Anyway, please join us back. I have got to make a phone call or get a phone call from Mike again. So let's see if he's there. Mike, are you there again?
I'm still here, James.
I'll tell you what, technology is working wonderfully tonight. I'm glad to say. Anyway, I want to just switch something here a little bit, Mike, if I may. Which are your favourite tournaments to play personally? Do you like to play sit and goes? Do you like to play multi-table tournaments? Do you like etc. etc.? What's your views on tournaments?
Mainly at the moment, I play cash games online, but if I'm going to play a tournament, I like to play the bigger buy-in tournaments online that have a semi-decent structure that gives me a bit of a chance to win. So rather than playing a speed tournament.
What do you think of these deep stack tournaments, which are now becoming on the internet?
I've played a few of them, and they're great practice for people who are going to come in and play a live tournament that generally starts with a deep stack, because you only really ever get a deep stack in a live tournament until they started these deep stack ones. But they do take a hell of a lot of time. I remember playing one that started at about 11 o'clock at night, and it was only a $30 buy-in. And 7 hours later, I got busted about 2 from the bubble. So it was a lot of work for no reward. But I think the reward is there because they do tend to get a lot of runners.
Yes.
And the better players will win because there's a lot more post-flop play.
Yeah.
What tends to happen in the internet tournaments is they tend to get to a point where the only move is raise or fold.
Yeah.
And with the deep stacks, it allows you to play a bit more on the flop and size your bets and things like that. So.
Well, I think last night there was $1 million tournament online, and it was what they've done there is they made it into a 2-day tournament.
Yeah, I was actually watching that. A couple of my friends got quite deep into that, so it was interesting to see how it went on. I didn't actually realise when I started watching it was a 2-day event.
Yes.
I managed to catch up with it again yesterday. But that seems like a very good idea, especially considering the buy-in was $1,000. If you're going to put that kind of money into a tournament, you'd want to get value out of it. You don't want it to be risked on just having to shove your chips in.
Yes, well, they had a great structure because they gave 10,000 chips, and then the levels were half an hour. But how they work it is, you played for either 6.5 hours the first day, or down to 20% of the players of the field, and then it restarts again the next day at the same time.
Yeah, that's a very good idea, and I hope a few more online sites take that view. Because there are a lot of big tournaments with a lot of runners that are really turning into just who has the best card wins.
But, you know, in that, a tournament like that, to me, that's a sort of a tournament I would like to play online because you've got a lot of play. I mean, half an hour level on the internet is equivalent to like an hour and a half in a live game.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Just a brilliant structure. I mean, I would love to play in a tournament like that. I was in Slovenia,
actually,
otherwise
if
I'd have
known
played
about it. Yeah, I would have played it had I known about it before it started, probably.
Yeah. So,
I did.
Very quickly, what about
Yeah.
sit and goes? Give us a very quick, what's your strategy in sit and goes? Let's hear it.
Tight, and then just open up as players go out. I used to play a lot of sit and goes, and that's the strategy I used to use. I'd only play aces, kings, queens, and maybe ace, king, ace, queen very early on, and then as players get knocked out, then I start to open up.
Change
that
gear.
gives you a tight image. There's a lot of people on there don't realise what you're doing, and as soon as you start raising, they think, oh, we must have a hand, and you can get away with a lot more playing that strategy, and it seems to work.
It does. I believe that is a winning strategy for sit and goes. An interesting thing is, of course, is when everyone becomes aware that you're doing that, I wonder then if you should adapt.
You can adapt to it, but there are so many sites you can play sit and goes on. When I used to play sit and goes, I wouldn't play on one site for too long because people tend to get to know you. And when I was playing sit and goes, I wasn't really bothered about the other players because I'd be playing 3 or 4 tables. I didn't have time to look and play individual players. I would just play situations based on an average player. But there are players there that would just play 1 or 2 tables, and they could pick up what you were doing. So
Mike,
I would just switch sides.
I think that's a good idea there. You just floated around there so they couldn't pick up your style. Mike,
That's
I've
right.
enjoyed talking to you tonight on all the calls. Hope to speak to you again sometime in the future.
And you, James. Thanks
Thanks
very
a
much.
lot.
Cheers.
Hi and welcome back to Poker Night Live. It's James here with Mark. James and Mark. It's not fight night tonight at the moment. We've been amazingly agreeing on loads of things. But I'll tell you what, we've had some very interesting hands, haven't we? And
We
some
have.
situations.
A lot of different situations,
So
yeah.
let's hope that continues. I hope you also enjoyed the little chats I had with Mike on the phone there, and covered a few topics there as well. Anyway, thanks for your emails. They are starting to come in quite a bit now. We want more. We're greedy. We want you to keep us awake this last hour with lots more of your emails, and we'll be having a look at those very, very shortly. Anyway, when we left you, we were enjoying Beat the Presenter. So far, Mark is doing great. Let's watch it a bit more. Yeah. Here we go. Mr. Perfect on the big blind with King 6, and there's Mark, disguised as Barry Bully. This is what you're going to have to use this name in future, you know this. This worked well, I think.
I think it does, yeah. I think I have to use his name again. I think I might put a raise in here. I can't remember. Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, well, Barry Bully.
Yeah.
The name.
And the reason being is that you can't see this on this screen, but the blinds are about to go up either the next hand or the one after.
Right.
So so I thought I might as well add this 480 to my stack if I can.
Right, does it tell you in there that the blinds are going to...
Yeah, it's just gone up, you see.
Does it tell you...
It does, yeah. It shows you how many hands before it goes up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a good technical point from Mark there. When you're playing in one of these, it'll tell you there when the blinds are going to go up. So bear that in mind, because this is all very, very relative.
Yeah, because it meant that I would lose 1,000 off my stack if I didn't.
All right, 9, 10, Jack, Queen. King or an 8, of course, would make a straight, and Skitsy's got an 8.
Yeah, he had that 8.
There it is, 8 of clubs. Wrong end of the straight, but no one else had the other end.
Yeah, Johan tries a little move here, if I remember correctly. He
He makes it 1280. You've got an ace. What are you going to do? Wham! No mucking around from Mark here. Ace 6 offsuit. He says, Johan, you're capable of trying to steal my blind. Don't. Let that be a lesson to you. Very strong play, Mark.
Yeah, it was the right play there.
And there he is. You've been rewarded by the gods of poker. They've sent you the best hand you could have.
They have. Unfortunately, I'm not in a good position here, so and I can't get the guy off the hand.
Mark, I'm getting confused here. I've seen you've had 7-8 offsuit twice tonight. You haven't played it yet. And all I ever hear you about is saying it's the mother of all hands.
Yeah, but
I'm getting confused.
You have to play it in the right way, James. You have to play it in the right way.
Well, I think you did play it the right way, passing it. But you seem to, you seem to think it's better than that normally. All right, then.
I just decide to go all in with this.
Okay, no subtlety here. All in. Don't want to be pushed off the hand later.
Yeah, I don't want people to think they can push me off the hand by re-raising me.
And there's Johan. He's gone all in there. Now, there's extra money in the middle there now. Did you contemplate anything?
No, not really. I sort of half thought about it, but...
It's one of those interesting mathematical...
If I was on the blinds, maybe.
It's an interesting mathematical situation there, because you've got another 960, which you can probably isolate in the middle. That's all. It's an interesting thing there.
But there are still 3 people to act behind me, and I don't know what they've got. That's the thing.
No, that's right.
Yeah. So they might re-raise. Might cost me more.
All right, because it was one I would have contemplated myself.
Right.
As it happens, would have scooped. I didn't know that coming there.
Yeah.
It was because I'm looking at that with my chip stack like yours. I'm looking at it. I'm thinking he's has to make a move. I think he could be doing it with 2. Probably even better than that. I think he might be away from my area slightly.
No, you're right in what you're saying. The only thing I would say is if I was the only time I'm
not saying I'm not saying it's definitely a play. I'm just saying one to contemplate, basically.
Yeah. So we're down to 4. I've improved on my best position ever so far. My best position up to now has been 5th on these Beat the Presenters. I've had a couple of 8s, a couple of 6s, and a 5th. So this is my 6th time lucky, as it were.
You had a 7th as well.
No, I had 2 8s. 2 6s, a 5th.
Oh.
Yeah, no 7th as far as I remember.
I thought early days you had a 7th.
No, 8th, unfortunately.
Oh.
I would have liked a 7th.
I thought you were going to try and collect all the numbers.
I would have liked a 7th, which is a bit unfortunate for Fast. Had good hands, unfortunately just walked into
Jacks
bigger
against
one.
Queens.
Yeah, nothing you can do in that situation. Fast, very unlucky.
Interestingly in poker, in Hold'em there, whenever the hands are obviously very close to each other, that obviously, more often than not, ends up in all the chips go in the middle.
I think I've put a raise in here with this King 2. Mainly because I don't have to worry too much about Skitsy. And I think Mr. Perfect has got just enough to fold. Did I put in a raise? Or was this the one I folded by mistake? No, this is the one I folded by mistake. Yeah, I actually pressed the wrong button on this. I actually meant to raise.
That's a funny one.
Which is just as well, because I wonder whether Skitsy would have come over the top with the 5s. Yeah, I'd lined up the amount to bet, and I pressed the wrong button. And that's because the time was running out.
Right, so the chip situation here, you've got 5.5.
6.5, yeah.
6.5, well, yep, 6.5 now. Mr. Perfect asks the question, 1480, it's going to cost you 1160.
Yeah, too much for me. 800 odd for Skitsy.
If you had had no one behind you and you were the last decision, would you have called then?
With what hand?
With one.
10-3.
Yeah.
800, probably.
I think it was only 1100, but you could be getting. I'm going to say because I think you should because you're
For
getting
800, yeah.
because you're getting over. You were getting
over 2 to 1.
Yeah, over 2
Yeah.
to 1. So
Yeah, for
it's
800
one of those.
probably.
But you can't do it. Mark can't do it because he's got someone behind him and he's got a very substandard hand and couldn't take any pressure from the guy with chips.
Yeah.
So, and he wouldn't want to be saying all in with his 10-3 because
No.
it would just be it could be a disaster. But I say if there was no one else to speak, well then it's just might as well have a shot at.
Yeah.
Knocking him out and capturing some easy chips.
Well, Mr. Perfect has just had an up and down straight draw, and now he's hit his ace anyway, and that just cements
Aces and sevens, 2 pairs, and he's back alive. And Mark actually just slipped down there to 3rd place now.
Yeah, blinds are really heavy now.
So you can see how quickly this game changes. We're at the top level now, of course, 640, 1280, and this is unfortunately now. Although this has been a bit better structure, of course it is now crapshoot time.
Yeah.
Not much play around now.
Yeah, obviously I can't do anything. I think I even typed in that I had 6-2 and I can't contemplate a call. So I just have to fold this. Although I'm looking to make a move over one of the next 2 hands. I think this is possibly the hand I do it with.
Right, and you've got 1280, so you'll be raising 1700 more. He's popped.
No, a bit more, about 2,400.
No, he's got 1280 in already, you know?
Yeah, but I had 3-6. I was in a small blind for 640.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, yeah, that's right, yeah. So yeah, so 18, 19, 20 more.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that was, yeah, that's okay, that was enough just to take him over. He can get away from that, yeah, that's good. So good opportunist play there. Skitsy. Ah, Mr. Perfect. He's all in. Mark can't call that one.
No, not with these hands, I
No,
can't.
you've still got 3-6, but now you're really going to be looking to get your chips in. Oh, manna from heaven, just when you needed it.
Yeah, it's worked out quite nice.
Fantastic. There's no decision here for Mark. He's going to whack his chips in, he does. And luckily, he's going to get that extra 1280 in the middle. And luckily, he's pinged a 10. And it was quite funny because I was looking over Mark's shoulder there, sort of like trying to sort of cheer him on. And he gave out a little groan when the flop come because he didn't spy the 10. He could only see that big fat king in the middle. He knew his opponent had the king and he went, oh. I said, no, you're all right. Oh, pleasant surprise. He saw the trips. It just shows sometimes in poker we get focused on one thing and you just overlook something else. I mean, it didn't make any difference to any play there. It was just voyeurism, but... And
So I'm in a good position here, but it is all in material here, so...
look at this, 12,000. Wow, you're in great shape here. So it's 12,000, just over 12,000 you had. 2 Jack 10, he's got the aces.
So I think I check it here, hoping for a bet or a steal of some description. And he obliges, I say thank you. And then...
Oh, 10 on the turn. This is outrageous. Barry's got the money in. It goes in whatever because if you bet he calls anyway, there's no avoiding that one. Very
I
unlucky
wanted
there.
to finish it on that hand.
Yeah, that would have been a lovely way to finish it. Finish it in style, but not to be. Now he's made up the blind there. And you've got 4-5. Didn't do anything. I think that's okay.
Yeah, I've put out a bet here to see where I am, to see if he's got anything. I don't think he can go all in without a better hand than me. So I do think about it for a moment, thinking whether it's a move or not. And I thought it's just going to cost me too much. It's just going to cost too much for me to find out whether it's a move.
No, you've definitely got to pass it. I funny enough, because of the amount of money he's got, well, it's a difficult one for you. If he hasn't got that flop and you're checking there with your amount of chips, he probably thinks you've got a connection anyway. No argument in this play. Look at that ace king whack. Still not a pair. You're happy just to take that down. I think that's good. Oops, ace king against 4 jack. Oh, you decided to make a move. Oops.
Yeah, unfortunately had a good hand. Slow played it. And he took a little bit of a chance there. I could have just checked and he could have been in trouble. Took a little bit of a chance with it and it worked out okay for him. And then obviously I've got to put in the rest of my chips into this situation. Regardless of what the hand is, he's obviously going to call for the extra 100 or whatever it was. And unless I hit a 2, in fact I can't even hit the 2 of clubs now.
No.
Yeah, so...
Well, you did very well.
Yeah.
You came second. What about your jack 4 there? Did you have to do that there? Or?
I probably didn't have to do it. But, you know, he's limped in, he's shown weakness, I think. And it's
jack 4 suited, I don't know whether they're... I don't know how much... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
a move. It's a move.
A move there. I don't think... She's still got quite a lot of chips there. It's just, I don't know whether... You know, you've been good in the game. I don't know whether you quite... all that last area is the only one there. I don't know whether maybe now you can just have a look at the flop and just see that one.
You've got 2,500 in the flop in the pot already.
Well, it's nice if you can get it. It's just you've got the hand which hasn't got much of it. There's not loads of equity in the hand. You've actually got a free chance to see that one now because of this play. You might find a flop where it's quite nice. A slight question mark on that. Altogether, I thought you played some really good attacking poker.
Yeah. I got lucky once and unlucky a couple of times.
Yeah, you got lucky where you needed to on the jack, but apart from that, you played some good attacking poker. And you had a good result, came second.
Yeah, not too
I enjoyed that. So, I'll tell you what, let's just have a couple of emails here, because we've been letting them lie here. But we haven't forgotten about you. And here we are. And... I've pressed the button and it's thinking. Don't think, open up the page. Silly. Thank you, it listened. Okay, it's from... Oh, goodness. I beg your pardon, I was going to revisit Steve from Liverpool. Well, nothing against that, of course, but we'd heard it before. And this is from Frizzo. We haven't visited you, Frizzo. Great show. I keep doing great in multis. 1-3, but keep getting pipped and coming, say, 12th. Advice, please. Well, Mark.
Well, usually that happens when you're playing a very solid type, careful tight game. What happens is you play a little too tight, and then typically because you are playing too tight, you end up getting to the final stages. But the problem is that you don't have enough chips to take you into that last stage, and that's really where the problem is. So what I'd suggest is that you need to start having a cut-off position in terms of where you need your chips to be, and you need to try and find ways of maintaining your chip level. And I think if you're just waiting and playing tight, unfortunately the cards won't come often enough for you to, get through. Eventually, sometimes you'll have the cards that allow you to get to the final table, but what it does mean is that invariably you'll end up on the final table, the shortest stack, and you'll go out very quickly unless you hit a complete rush of cards. So what do you think, James?
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. I mean, also, listen, it's not a very long trial either. You might have been doing everything correctly and just been unlucky as well. That's possible. But Mark's principles there are very, very sound. Listen, we're going to do some more emails. We might even do them over the top of it. We must get back to that multi-table because it's that tournament's been buzzing around all night long. Let's see what's happening. We're down to the last 5 runners.
So just to reiterate, what you need to do is you need to open up your game slightly ahead of that time. So that's really what you need. So you need to pick a point where you need to take 1 or 2 risks.
Look at this. Flush draw, but there's trip 10s, and trip 10s for clay captures the chips.
Yeah. So we've got an interesting Miss Votavova.
And 24 Ginger there, who was chip leader earlier on, is still chip leader. Does like to use his chips.
Well, Miss V is doing well. Got a lot of chips. I was a bit surprised I didn't actually see her on the table there, on the single table tournament. Usually she's always there, so and this is the reason why.
Yep, she's been
busy away.
Tournament.
Yeah. What is the stats on this, James? How many people entered?
Oh, on this, 39 entered this one. And of course, as we said before...
And do you know what the prize money is on this?
This is our league... Private members league tournament.
Okay, so do they get?
Yeah, they get prize. It's a flat. I think it's just a freeze out. So it's a prize pool of just $3.90, I think, tonight.
Oh, okay. What, one winner?
No, I believe that there will be 5 paid out. Maybe it's only 3. It's either be 3 or 5. I'm not sure what what they do with this one.
Okay.
But we'll find out for you. That's for sure. We had an email before from Frizzo. I'll tell you what. He's multi-talented because we've got a text from him as well.
Oh wow.
I'm having fun playing 7-card stud and high-low Omaha and doing okay. But should I stick to one game and format? No, I think it's fine to investigate. I think, especially 7-card stud, I think that's good. It'll develop quite a lot of solid poker principles. It'll help you to focus and to concentrate on what cards are out there. Remember what's gone. Start thinking about the game from another angle. You know, whether you're ready now to go to high-low as well, I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm not quite sure how experienced you are, so that's another type of game, basically, and it's the 7-card stud. I think will do you a lot of good. Actually, I started off basically with 7-card stud, and I've always thought that was quite a good base to launch the rest of the games from. Listen, it's fine to keep yourself amused and have a look at the other games. If you really want to become good at one, I think there's nothing wrong with specialising either.
Yeah. I think if you're looking for, personally, I think knowing the other games is great in certain situations. And the situation is that you've got to be, first of all, comfortable with the game that you're playing. When I say comfortable, I don't mean you know how to play and you've got to really be pretty good at it. And then once you start investing investing time in the other games, then I think you'll find that it really does pay off in terms of overall poker strategy. The one thing I will say that I think, James, what do you think on this, is that if you are playing no limit hold'em, to actually invest a little bit of time, this is even okay for new players, in limit hold'em, in terms of betting principles and understanding the overall game of hold'em.
I'll tell you what, that is a good bit of advice. In fact, I played some limit hold'em actually when I was in Slovenia. In fact, and actually I did fine actually. I actually lost a bit in the no limit hold'em. I got cooked on a couple of last cards in the no limit and lost a couple of big pots. I mean, I was in front and got outdrawn. But I played the limit and I won every limit session I played, which was quite interesting.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I would have thought that would be one of your main games because you're obviously you're a very technical player. You're very technically sound.
Yeah. And limit is a mathematical game.
More suited to
it's
that.
A mathematical
whereas I'm more
game.
of a creative type player. So
you want to play stranger cards where you can get good implied odds from hitting funny hands.
Exactly.
Where the limit, if you do too much of that, you can get into trouble. But again, it depends on your opponents because if they're very passive, now of course you can be quite aggressive in limit as well.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of players there who really were pretty attacking limit players.
I was going to say, yeah.
But to counteract them, you can play pretty tight against them and catch them. So, but I like your idea of looking at the game because what it does is it does show you what you can do. You can do a raise, re-raise, re-raise. You can be asking questions back and forward. Also, you start to see the end of more hands. You see how the hands develop by people against people who've raised and see how it develops. And at the end of the day, you say, my goodness, at the end of this, ace high. What's going on here? You know, it opens your eyes.
Yeah.
Just as Poker Night Live opens your eyes, you can see all the cards everyone could have. Limit opens your eyes because you see the end of more hands. So yes, I think that's a good bit of advice. In fact, my very start, the way I started the money games, was in a limit 7-card stud game.
Okay.
And that's where mine sprang from, limit 7-card stud down in Portsmouth, Southsea area.
Right.
From there to pot limit 7-card stud, from there to Hold'em, etc., etc., etc.
Oh, interesting stuff.
Right, back to the final here.
Oh, look at this, James. This could be a real...
We have action.
This is going to be an action hand, isn't it? I'm a fish. She's going to see that as a potential button raise.
So there's a raise there from Votavova.
Position raise, rather.
Just a call from I'm a fish.
Wow.
And
Votavova's
like got the overpair plus the escape route of a 6 to give the straight if her opponent has got a bigger pair.
What do you think of the bet of 6,000 into a 15,000 pot? For me, it's a little bit shy.
I think she really thought she was winning, but if the opponent came back over the top, I think she was prepared to get away from it.
And what do you think? Was the bet right?
I don't mind it.
Yeah? You don't think it's too weak?
No, because she's got the... No, I mean, it's in sometimes a smaller bet means I'm not that frightened. I think I would think she had a hand when she did that to me.
Right.
Because I think if she was desperate to get rid of me...
You don't think it doesn't sound weak?
No, sometimes I think she's quite a solid player, and I think it's meaningful for her to do that.
Well, she's generally been quite... Well, I mean, I don't know what she plays like with multi-tables, but she's certainly not afraid to put her chips in.
But it was 6 into a what? The pot of...
15.
It's okay. It's below half. You know,
Yeah.
half the pot, 7.5. I mean, she's not far.
Yeah.
Half pot's often a good bet.
Yeah.
Half pot is you're giving half pot. You're giving your opponent 3 to 1. So it's not far off that. Maybe a 7.5 would have been a tad better.
Yeah. I'm just worried because it's such a vulnerable hand there, isn't it? I know she's got the extra out of the 6, but you just might give someone with an ace-queen saying, OK, well, I think, you know, let's have a look. And then you get an overcard and you just don't know where you are. Obviously, there's not much chance of hitting an ace or queen.
The overcards are getting horrible odds, though, still. I mean, they're way longer than 3 to 1. So you're giving them what you are doing. If she does the half anyway, but I think she's okay. I think let's agree that she should chunk it up to maybe about the 7.5 sort of level to be nearer the mark. But I think there she's thinking I'll keep chips back if I can get away or whatever. I think she's giving herself options, and I think this should be enough to take this down most times. 24 Ginger, aggression. He's got chips, and he's using them, but there's been a re-raise from 150, all in.
And let's see, he's asked to put another 19. He's getting less than 2 to 1, and it's a solid pass.
And I'll tell you what, that extra 19 is quite significant to him there.
Yeah.
If that goes wrong, he actually...
Yeah, he needs to be getting a little bit better odds than that.
Yeah, the whole thing levels out a lot if that one's wrong.
24 Ginger made a play and got his answer, so he did nothing wrong there. Although he likes this, I'm sure. Pair of jacks. He's not going to get anything here. I don't think I'm a fish is going to get involved with his jack 8-2 or whatever it was. So he picks up the blinds, doesn't get anything for his jacks. Let's see if he gets something for his 7s. Well, he's going to have to improve upon them because he's up against a pair of 10s. Lucky for him is that he hasn't got that many chips behind him. So that's one escape route, I guess. Or is it? Maybe it's not such an escape route. Maybe it was actually costing him more than it should do because he hasn't got many chips behind him.
Yes.
Had he have had 60, 70,000, he wouldn't do that, would he?
No.
So he would probably escape for less, in effect.
Yeah, because he could have actually just asked another question with a raise and then not had to commit so many chips.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. And yes, he's done a chunk there to him then. He's put play
difficult
back in
there,
the game
though.
now.
Difficult there for us to escape 24 Ginger. Sometimes the cards fall.
It's unlikely. His opponent probably thinks he's more like he thinks he's a small favourite with his 7s probably.
Yeah.
Problem there is he can't presume he's got much fold equity.
He hasn't.
So that's where I start to have doubts about the play. Have I got any fold equity? Not too much. Well, hang on. Pair of 7s. Do I think he's got worse than
Oh,
two?
James, look, I must interrupt you. Look,
Yeah.
we've got tens against queens, against ace-jack.
Oh, my goodness. Three
And,
hands.
Well, this is probably lucky for I'm a Fish because he can now escape this. If he gets, if this one goes over the top. Now, will he go over the top, though? He's had a raise and a re-raise. I think he folds, yeah, I was going to say. I think he folds.
Well done. Great fold.
Yeah, it was a good fold.
And now it's left ace-jack with the decision.
He can't call, I don't think.
18,000 to
it's
call.
all his chips.
It's all his chips, you're right. It's a big question. But the blinds are 1,000, 2,000.
He's still got a few rounds, hasn't he? They don't go around that quick.
Got 7 rounds. 3,000 a shot.
Yeah. And hopefully in that time he might pick something up. That allows him a few more rounds as well. Might be able to steal a couple of blinds here and there.
Squeeze in a quick email here. It's from Mr. Trebus. Why do people call with rubbish and not respect my raises when I have the best hand? It's not just once, but time after time after time. Do you have any advice? Well, Mr. Trebus, just encourage them to keep on doing it, because in the long run, you'll get all their money.
Yeah, absolutely. What you want to do, Mr. Trebus...
Celebrate it.
What you want to do is that can be very frustrating in tournaments when that happens because, of course, it knocks you out of the tournament. What you want to have a look at is perhaps cash games because certainly the run is a little shorter. You can afford for them to do it a couple of times knowing that if they keep on doing it, you'll soon get all your money back plus interest.
Exactly.
So you might want to take a look at cash games with these guys. See if they are playing cash games and hop onto those tables. That might be more advantageous if you're getting frustrated with tournaments.
When they win, just say good call and say under your breath, do it again next time.
Yeah, you must remember in tournaments you are going to come across situations where, you know, even if you're playing aces against ace king, you know, let's say in fact let's make it a little bit simpler. Let's say you're playing kings against ace king. You know, you're only a little better than 2 to 1 to actually, you know, win the hand. And guess what? If you have that situation 3 times, you're going to be knocked out of the tournament potentially.
Yep.
So, you know, it's frustrating with tournaments because you think, yeah, you know, there will be times where you have the best hand and it stands up, but every now and again, aces against 2s will lose. So cash games is the way forward, I think, for you there, Mr. Trebus. Maybe you just want to hop away from the tournaments for a while. Still, we're still 5-handed here, James. Blinds are 2 and 4. They've just gone up. So we're seeing a few all-in moves here. They've lost patience now, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I don't blame the short stacks for doing so, although they're not that desperate. I mean, 150372, I don't know what that is, his telephone number or something. He's got there. Or is that his date of birth? Oh, possible date of birth there, 15th of March.
No, it's his prison number.
Yeah.
He's playing from cell H at the moment.
So a belated happy birthday, if that is 15th of March. Or is it a 15th of August? I can't really tell.
August thing, isn't it?
Is it August?
Well, you better send 2 cards to be sure.
Yeah.
King Kong for Miss Votavova.
I like the play. I like the call. Needs to accumulate a few chips, and this is a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's worked out beautifully.
Yep, 24 ginger. And actually, I think Votavova's played this extra well because she's looked at the customer and she knows that 24 ginger does love to move his chips around. And she left the door open. So I thought that was cracking play.
What should happen here, James? She should put a bet in here, shouldn't
Yes,
they?
yes, because...
No more free cards.
No.
Could get a re-raise here from 24 ginger, thinking it looks like a weak bet. She's played it like it's a weak bet, and 24 ginger might read it as that and go over the top. No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
He reads it as strength.
Yeah, wow. That was good play by both, I thought there. He escaped pretty much for the minimum, although you don't really want to let a limper in on your big blind when you've got an ace, so he found out and got away for it as cheaply as he possibly could, I reckon.
Got a hand now to get some chips back with, pair of 10s, but...
He's not going to get a taker here, is he, with 5-6?
He captures the blinds instead.
Yeah, he's had a couple of situations, hasn't he, 24 ginger?
Yeah, he has. He's, but he does get himself, he plays quite a lot of hands.
He does, yeah.
And
There's
he'll
another
play-
one he's going to be playing.
He'll play this one as well. But mind you, so would I.
Yeah. Good bet, 12,000.
Yeah, I think it's fine. He's got to be aware, though, that he's got to call the re-raise if 150 re-raises. He's going to be pot committed against him.
15th of August, James.
15th of August. You decided? It's his birthday? Could be her birthday.
It could be.
Ace, 10, 8. So we've got pair of tens for Votavova, but it's a pair of aces for Clay.
Well, Vot's asked the question. Now, will she listen to the answer? That's the thing.
She got the answer. I think she will.
She's certainly good enough to.
I think she will. She does. I
Good
had
play
faith
there.
in you, Vota, and you didn't let me down.
Yeah, good play there by Vot.
Okay, I've got a little email here. It's an email from King Whip. That's a good name. King Whip from Belfast. In multi-tourney, had ace 9 of spades, raised 120 pre-flop. Got one caller. Flop came ace of hearts, 9 of clubs, 3 of spades. Bet 40. Got called. Turn came 9 of hearts. Went all in. Got called. Other player showed ace king. River came 9 of diamonds. What is the odds on that? Also, keep an eye on the TV tables. I've placed in all I have played. Keep up the good work. What are the odds of that? I mean, what are the odds on you being dealt ace 9 and that flop? And well, we can't even count it. There's too many bigger number. I don't quite...
Oh, James, look, we've got another hand developing here.
Oh, yeah, we have.
And we've got a razor from Vot.
Oh,
re-raise.
my goodness. And I'm a fish sat in the middle with the ladies against the 2 9s.
I don't think 15th of August or March, whatever it is going to fold this. I think he's had enough of folding. Yeah. I was going to say, he's just had enough of folding now. He says, I can't keep folding. I think the 9s would have won it.
Wow. I'm a fish. Marches on. And we're down to 4 runners.
Yeah.
There it was. I'm a fish with the pair of queens against the pair of 10s. The pair of 9s had passed. Would have hit trips on the turn. Action. And we lose a player. Down to 4. Clay, 24 ginger. I am a fish and Miss Votavova. Anyway, King Whip, I don't... Yes, I think highly unlikely to get the 4 9s. Now, I'm not sure what the odds of your situation... I suppose your question is, what are the odds of you making 4 9s from your situation? For it to go runner, 9? Well, we could work that out. I had no sleep last night. I've just come back from Slovenia. I'm certainly not going to attempt to do it in my head at the moment.
No, and don't even look in this direction, James.
And Mark doesn't want to do it anyway. And who can blame him? Right, back to the tourney. Anyway, thanks for contacting us.
So, we've got here, Vot's making a move with the 4s, takes it down, the right play, I believe. Oh, pair of 10s again. Those 10s seem to be hanging around, don't they? Okay, just to give you an idea on some of those odds, I'm not going to tell you what it is to hit the runner like that, but certainly if you've got a pocket pair to hit quads, it's 407 to 1. And if you haven't got a pocket pair, you've just got one of your whole cards, your odds are just a tad under 9,800 to 1 to hit quads. But that's with either of your whole cards. So there you go.
Thank you, Mark.
But that is to the flop. So that is to the flop. That is knocked down to the river.
Mark, you just look at this 1 sec and I'll give us a
Okay, I'll give you some
commentary on this a little bit.
Well, 7-4 making a move, and 24 Ginger's going to take it down. That wasn't a nice looking flop for a pair of threes. And he's let that one go though. So they're battling out. They're fairly even-ish on chips. Blinds are 2,000, 4,000, so sort of semi-play left. Not. Oh, I'm a Fish has got the lozenge, the Poker Night Live lozenge. Doesn't help him on this occasion. Oh, 24 Ginger's picked up aces. Now he's limped in. He's hoping to try and get some kind of payout of this. Vots has had a look, and oh, he's got even improved. He's hit a set of aces. He probably wants to try and get some payment out of it. And I think he really should have put a little bet out on the turn. I think that's a missed play there. Doesn't have to be a big bet, just something along those lines. No, he wouldn't have got paid anyway, I don't think. But the time to have done it, 24 Ginger, is to put it out on the turn, just on the hope that your opponent has some kind of draw that is willing to pay for. You know, once the ace has come down and you see no one's bet it, they're going to be very wary of anyone of calling anything else. So you've got to make them pay for a potential draw in that case.
Okay, King Whip, I decided to do it for you after all. After you've hit your 9 on the flop, and bearing in mind you've got ace-9, and bearing in mind we know that your opponent's got ace-king, you are then to go runner-runner to hit your 4 9s. You are then 988 to 1 from the flop, having hit 1 9 to make your 4 9s. Now I hope you appreciate that, because I've had no sleep, or very little.
So why haven't you had any sleep, James, or shouldn't I ask?
Well, because my flight, I had to, my flight was 9:50, but I flew from Treviso, which was an hour and a half away from Slovenia,
Yeah.
Nova Gorica.
I went to Treviso last year.
Yeah. So then
As you know, by the
yes.
Italy.
So then they picked me up at actually 6:45 in a car, but I'd been playing at night, so I never really got any sleep. So
Yeah.
I had a little bit of sleep on the plane and in the
Yeah,
car,
I had the same
and
thing.
so and I'd had a little
You had a little bit of
little
sleep.
rest this afternoon, but not
Yeah.
proper sleep.
No.
But I feel all right.
Yeah. I did the same thing on the way back from LA. I just played all the way through the night and then sleep and just slept on the plane.
I forgot about my
Yeah.
little.
So I'm a Fish takes that one down, and still looking pretty even. 9-10 for Vot. Ace Queen for 24 Ginge. It's probably going to go as far as him. Clay doesn't want to play. Kleb doesn't want to do anything. Well, this is a real battle here. They've got some play in their chips. Miss Vot has taken the lead back again.
I'm just having a look here to see if I can see
Well, the number.
if any of these are on the leaderboard.
Well, Vot's picked up a hand here. Ace Jacks makes 3 times a big blind, which is about right, I think. And decides no one decides to play, so she's picked up another 6,000,
Yeah.
and that's very nice.
Got some info here for you, Mark. We've got Clay here. He's lying about 9th on the leaderboard with 7 points.
Okay. So he's going to pick up a few extra points here then, James.
So this leaderboard's not quite correct, because when you get 2 people joined together, it should actually knock the other places further down, but we seem to have them.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not,
When it goes 1-2-2, it should go 1-2-2-4. If you see what I mean? Yeah. Never mind. But he's there's about 13 people ahead of him. He's got 7 points, so points here will be useful for him.
Yeah, interesting hand here, James, because Vot's got the middle pair, but she doesn't like those diamonds out there. So while she was in the lead, I think overall it was the right play to fold that. Yeah, you didn't anything wrong there, Vot.
She's got enough. She's got chips.
The only thing I would have said is perhaps you should have bet out, as you were first to act, you should have put in a bet to see what I'm a Fish is going to do, because he's likely to bet with anything. And you do have middle pair.
The thing is, people are going to be more frightened of Votavova than others because she's got them covered.
Exactly, yeah.
So if you get it wrong with her, you're dead.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm a Fish says short-handed, a pair of nines is big. I don't mind committing my chips for that one. Does so. And 24 Ginger, ace 5 off.
Yeah, makes it 12 standard raise. 12 is the bet. And it seems to be aces is a limp, or kings is a limp, and anything else is a standard raise of 12. Unless you've got a pair of nines, of course, and you just go all in. Well, ace-king, so really what we're looking for is for our dealer to produce a couple of big hands together, because I think that's what it's going to probably take. It's only going to take a couple of big hands coming together before anyone gets their pot. They've all been playing a pretty good game so far, all four of them, so they're unlikely to make too many mistakes.
Yep, well, King Kong, what a nice time to find it. I'm a Fish. I apologise, I think I'm going to sneeze. Can I fight it off? I have. Oh, good result. 24 Ginger, ace deuce. Right, I'm a Fish, what you going to do? No. Pass it over the blind. Now, here we go. Moving time, blinds are 2-4, 6,000 in the middle. He's made it 12. And he's going to make another move here. And he's pressed all in. I think there's nothing wrong with that. He just wants to take down this 6, gives him another round of play. Yep, up to 45,000. Breathing down Clay's neck. 24 Ginger, no thanks. Votavova, flat raise with Queen 8 suited. Wow, and it gave I'm a Fish the impression that she was very strong there. She was very happy to take the chips down with that. Used the sort of implied aggression of the size of a stack, if you excuse the terminology. "24 Ginger makes it 12. All in from the King Jack. I unlucky, walked into the aces. Oh, and hits an ace. There was a flush draw out there, though. If a heart had come.
A straight draw.
And a straight draw, but not to be, and we're down to 3. Pocket rockets. They were there. Yes, it was 9, 10, jack, king, queen, a heart.
And 8, yeah, up and down straight, in fact. 8, 9,
Yep.
10, jack, yeah. So lots of outs, just didn't come. So Clay takes that one down.
Got another email here. This is from Kenny. Hi, Mark. Hi, James. Couldn't agree with you more, James, when you said the move pullers at the table must have had a few bank holiday drinks. I think they aren't the only ones. Isn't that right, James? Excuse me. Excuse me, young man, but I've had a Red Bull, that's about it. Mark, if you wait until James stops for breath, you might get a few words in. Keep up the good work, lads. A truly great show. Okay, you're forgiven.
You're not trying to suggest that James talks too much, are you?
Just suggesting I was drinking. Cheeky. Ace King, pair of jacks. Bye-bye the jacks.
Oh, dear.
Puro Votavova. It was that classic confrontation, Ace King against jacks. The jacks was a favourite, but it wasn't a B. And the ace came on the turn. We're down to 2.
Yeah, unlucky there from Vot.
24 Ginger being there, leader most of the time, but being overtaken by Clay now, who's got 170,000. And it's a rotten hand for 24. The blinds are 4-8. It's expensive. 12,000 a round. He's only got 4 rounds left. Bets 10. Surrenders. And 6-2 against 7-10 to 7. Hit the flop for 24. Bets 10. And takes it down. Battling on there, 24 Ginger.
A lot of money in this pot, James, isn't there, every round?
Oh, there is 12,000. I said Ginger's under pressure, really. Not 4-10-4.
I'd be surprised if 24 doesn't make a little play at this. King high on a 10-4-4 board.
Yep.
Got to figure that his king is winning here.
Yep, and he's clawed his way back to 65 now.
Well, interesting hand. Makes up the blinds. Clay's probably going to boost it up a bit, I dare say. Yeah, he's really saying, do you want to commit your whole tournament to this hand?
Ace-8.
And can't call. Picked up another 16,000 just by doing that. And this could be an interesting hand.
Yeah, we could see confrontation here, I think. Clay's cranked it up. Oh.
All right, James, we got an email from Chicken Devil. He's just asking about odds. Odds of hitting dropping a straight, 7-6 to 1.
All right. Oh, goodness. I'll tell you what. We're going to have to bring you the result of this one. Okay, thanks very much. Okay, thanks very much indeed. See you again tomorrow night, Poker Night Live.